This podcast is brought to you by the Podtower, hosted by the Watchtower database. Visit youtube.com/thepodtower for informative, hilarious DC animation-themed podcasts and live streams every week. And check out the Watchtower database for DCAU video essays, timelines, fan theories, and more. And please, enjoy the show. How's the listener doing? We never really ask that.
We don't, and I feel bad about that.
We're just going to talk to ourselves and assume people are listening, but
I guess it's kind of hard to have a conversation with people who are so silent and unresponsive when you ask questions. Like, watch this, Dylan. What are you? What's up, man? Like, how's your Monday?
Oh, sure. That's how Dylan talks.
Jamie, are you having a stroke? What the hell was that?
Yes. Every podcast episode at least once. So what do you mean? Why are you surprised? I don't know. Oh, can you believe that we've made it to the 133rd episode of this?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Because we just keep doing it because I keep making you.
It's almost like you do a thing over and over again and it adds to the number of times that you've done the thing.
Yeah. It's like if you do the same thing over and over again without changing anything. Something definition of insanity. But we've changed a few things. We added that MF Doom book thing at one point. We did like the balderarchy. So I think that's what keeps us sane is the balderarchy, to be honest.
We got songs.
We got songs.
We got songs added. We got songs removed. We got songs changed.
Some songs we were like, this was bad. Well, what's an example of that? The original Mail song?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. That one was changed.
It was wrong.
Time. It was wrong.
Yeah. It didn't feel right anymore.
Yeah.
Because we had Kimmy at our disposal.
Yeah.
Like always.
Just in a box. Hanging out in the garage.
What's in the box?
It's Kimmy.
It's Kimmy.
With a ukulele.
That's what was in the box at the end of 7, actually.
It wasn't a like, what's in the box? It was looking in the box and be like, what is in the box? Like,
what is this?
Who is this girl? Why is her hair blue?
Yeah, I can clearly see it, but I don't know what I'm looking at.
What is in the box?
Who are you?
I'm so confused. Why is there a girl with a ukulele in the box? She's singing about mail.
You aren't Gwyneth Paltrow at all, he said. It's me, Brad Pitt, and who are you? Just reach out to shake hand. I'm ukulele girl.
You just see a hand extend from a box.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't been formally introduced. I'm Kimmy, actually. I've been in the movie 7 for the last 30 years or whatever, and I hope that's okay with you.
She said, I'm Kimmy, and I stick out my hand, shake.
And I approve this message.
that too.
Yeah.
What are we doing, Jamie?
Oh, we're doing okay. Oh, what are we doing?
Okay, we're doing bad.
We're not doing okay at all.
Start.
We're watching a podcast. We're watching an episode. We're podcasting an episode.
Okay, so this is
greetings,
let's
listener.
Cut. Let's start from the beginning again.
Okay. Right.
I'm recording.
Wow,
3,
can you believe? Yeah, clap.
Oh,
can you believe
wow,
it's
how many
episode
episodes?
133
wow,
of the podcast?
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness!
Wow, we're doing
Kimmy
the thing.
was in 7. Oh wait, no, we're not supposed to do that part.
No, it should take 3.
I'm James from the Watchtower Database YouTube channel. I'm not in 7. I'm here to show my good buddy Brian that I know.
Not in 7 either. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. The entire DC animated universe from start to finish for the very first time in the controversial Airdate order. So that he may view shows the way human beings experience them in the far gone days of the 1900s.
This is what happens when we take a week off.
It really is. Even just 1 week is enough to be like, how the fuck do we do this?
To be fair, what's gone on over the past week for the both of us? It's just been like it's been busy. There's been a lot. There's just been a lot.
My sister got married.
Yep.
The end. At the time of this happy wedding, at the time of this recording,
1:50 p.m.
Oh, yes, that you say that. What? Let me do that again. It'll set you up again. At the time of this recording,
1:50 p.m. And I'm Brian.
There we go. We'll do the thing that happened at the wedding where we are doing a surprise musical number and then my dad says the wrong line and then I just stare at him for what feels like a year. And then I did watch it back and it is longer than you said it was, but not nearly as long as it felt to me.
I said it was like 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, I think it was maybe 5 or 6. It was a pretty good amount of time.
Clock it.
Yeah, okay, I will. Not right now. We're doing a podcast.
Oh, right.
About 7. New Batman Adventures is streaming on Max and available on DVD and Blu-ray. Your dogs. If you'd like to follow, that's what you say.
We are out of practice, aren't we? Oh my God.
I'm reading the paper. If you'd like to follow along, you can head over to bit.ly/watchdcau. Links in the show notes. Today we're watching Over the Edge, New Batman Adventures episode.
Do you want me to read the paper?
Oh, yeah. What does the paper say? 4
wireless board K12s, 425. June 6th plus 2797 730 8830 should be 2679 after tax and then the word extremo.
Oh,
so that's
was that
important.
Your prediction last time for Over the Edge?
All of that.
I think you predicted that Batman would be arm wrestling somebody.
Oh right, it was the Sylvester Stallone over the top reference.
Yeah, and I said no, but then you said, but there's going to be like burly guys. And I was like, yeah. So
sick.
So you kind of got a slight part of it. This first aired Saturday, May 23rd, 1998.
Wow.
When did 7 come out? What if?
Saturday, May 23rd, 1998.
1995.
On Fox. This might have been like airing on like TBS after the fact or something.
I hope so. It was a September 22nd, 1995. That's the same thing as May 23rd, 1998. So this is a really weird coincidence. 9:30 a.m. on Kids WB.
Wow.
2 weeks after our last episode, The Demon Within. This is the 11th episode to air and the 12th episode produced right after Mean Seasons. Sorry, right before Mean Seasons. Holy shit. I can read the paper. Read the paper. Writer Paul Dini. Director Yuichiro Yano, who previously directed My Girl and Double Dose. Do you remember what those episodes were?
Yeah, one was, I forget his name.
A vat of hot lead that got blown off its support. And
the
other was Double Dose.
I'm trying to think of Macaulay Culkin, but the joke is lost now because My Girl.
Okay, God damn it. Yeah, I was 7 because Morgan Freeman was there. He was the police chief.
Worst intro ever.
Yeah, this is good. We're doing well.
Are we?
Do you remember what Double Dose was? I do, but do you? It's a Superman episode. It had 2 villains.
No, I don't remember.
It was a zappy girl and a zappy guy.
The Zaptastic Voyage?
It was
would
Parasite and Livewire.
I was going to say Livewire, but I couldn't remember her name.
Yeah.
I forgot that they teamed up.
They did do that, and Superman wore a giant condom.
Oh, yeah. And you made a
TikTok.
A TikTok about it.
That's ever the more reason for me to make more of those is to just remind you of episodes you've already watched.
Yeah, dude. 1 per episode, please.
I'm trying. I'd like to. The music is by Shirley Walker here in this episode, Over the Edge. And the animation is by TMS, Tokyo Movie Shinsha. This is our penultimate, that means second to last, episode animated by TMS.
Aww.
It's the last TMS production for a long while, too. We won't get to the final one until the year 2000.
James, it's already 2024.
Oh my gosh. Well, look where we are. We can watch it at any time, can't we? We're not gonna. I can.
Yes, you can. We can't.
Yeah. Now we have to do push-ups now. Head over to the link in the description to send us. I say that's so disappointing. Oh man, people gave us money. Fuck.
People want us to continue this podcast. Shit.
Yeah, I guess. Well, somebody must. Head over to the link in the description to send us a Yoppie beverage to support the show. We'll give you a shout out in an upcoming episode. We'll also do a push up for every $1. So send us coffee for our health and your entertainment. Isn't this so entertaining when we play this sound?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to hit it again. Today's Yoppie Bevs come to us from The Geek Legacy, who just says, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.
Oh my God.
What an inspiring message that has nothing to do with anything else. It's so lovely that you should say this to us.
It's poetic. Someone should put that in a song.
I know. It would be what? Mystical. That's what my brain wanted me to say. 5 Yoppie Best would do 25 push-ups.
Ooh, we're doing the big ones.
Holy shit. Do we Rickroll? Do we sing a Rickroll while we do it?
You can just play it. You can just play.
Okay. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, and 24, and 25.
That was good.
And if you ask me how I'm feeling, it's not good. Then we go and we watch the episode. Yeah,
let's go watch an episode and let's come back and be more professional than we were for the opening of the pod.
So much better.
It's gonna be
because we'll have a special guest with us,
which you would know if you read the title.
You would know it. Nobody reads the paper.
Yes?
Wayne.
Commissioner, what can I do for you?
Drop the act. 10 minutes on Barbara's computer told me everything. Like a fool, I allowed you to run wild on your private crusade. A psychotic misfit playing masked hero. Now I've paid for it with Barbara's life.
Jim, believe me.
I know how you feel. You can't.
You know how I lost my parents. The only way I could hold on to my sanity was to take matters into my own hands.
That makes us even.
Merciful heavens.
This is not good.
I'm sorry.
Hit it again!
And this is just going to be audio recording, no video, right?
Yes, correct.
Right.
So I can make gestures.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like a nice
John is
thumbs up,
currently
right?
flipping us up. Oh, yes, like a nice thumbs up. He would never do something so crass and bad.
No.
Such as that. Hey, listener, Dylan Pollock and co. We're here with John Trumbull, who drew this coloring book. And that's it.
Can you see? It's right here.
And that's it. That's all
That's all you've ever done. He also wrote some articles for a magazine that I have up on the same exact shelf that I pulled the coloring book from. And he's done a bunch of other cool stuff.
I've done that much more recently, by the way.
Yes, you have. This is copyright 1999.
Yeah.
I think 98 maybe.
Drew in 98.
Yeah. That magazine was 2017, I think.
It was 2017 because it was for the 25th anniversary of Batman the Animated Series. Yeah.
Can
that was back issue number 99. Yes.
Can
Brian.
I ask a personal question and ask how do you get to the point where you're submitting drawings for like a coloring book and getting into this whole world?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd be happy to tell you about that.
I don't know the answer, Brian. Why would you ask me that? I'm so sorry, John. You're a guest. I should let you talk.
I went to a school called the Joe Kubert School. Well, nowadays it's just called the Kubert School. It's a cartooning school, an illustration school founded by comic book artist Joe Kubert.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a 3-year school where you basically learn how to be a comic book artist. And at the end of our 3rd year, they took a bunch of us up to DC Comics to introduce us around to a bunch of the editors to see if we could get some work. And I had some samples of stuff in the Batman animated style because I was a big fan of that show, quite enamored of that style, looking to get some work. And I met licensing. Why. Yeah. And I met the licensing editor up there, Steve Corte. Very nice guy.
Steve Corte.
And he liked my stuff. And then, we were in like this big conference room of all the editors, and everybody's just kind of meeting one-on-one. And I think he had to like go, and he had some meeting or something the other day. So he kind of took me into a side conference room. When we were there, one of my teachers actually whispered to me, she was like, "You're doing really well." And I had no context. So I was like, "Oh, I'm doing well. Okay, cool."
You just went in the side room with Steve Corte.
Yeah, well, this
you're doing very well.
and then I went in, and that started sort of a long process. This would have been in April or May of 97, because I graduated in the spring of 97. There was a sort of a long process where I did like a few more sample pieces for him over the course of the summer. And then finally, he thought, okay, I think I'm ready to give this guy an assignment. And he gave me this assignment for this coloring book, Swinging into Action. The pages of which were later reprinted in another coloring book called Deep Freeze.
Yes,
okay. Which James has right there.
It's glorious. It's in perfect condition from when I was 11 years old. Oh my God, look at this drawing of Batman that I did in the back. You can barely see it. It's so good.
Yeah.
You see it? It's really good.
I can barely see it. Like you said.
I promise it was great. Yeah.
I'm sure it's wonderful.
It's not. It's bad.
That's cool. So like did everybody else in your class like get a little peeved that you were like the one who got selected, or?
Well, no, I don't think I don't think I was the only person who walked out of there with work or the possibility of work. Okay. There were some other people, and actually one of my best friends from school, Lawson Wallace, he ended up drawing the other half of that coloring book. As I recall, it was like a 64-page coloring book, and we each drew 32 pages, so we split it like right down the middle. And I had the first half, so I got a lot of the introductory pinup type shots. And Lawson, because he was doing the second half of the book, he got like a lot more of the puzzle pages and things like that. So he had a bit of a tougher job, and I had some more of the fun stuff.
Oh no!
Like how many words can you make out of the word Clayface is what we were doing before we started recording. Yeah. It's a really fun game. We said clay and face were two of the words. That was pretty cool. We're really smart guys. Just saying.
We really are.
Smart. We are excelling. We're above the curve on this one, I think.
Nice and pointy, like Bane's wrist gauntlets in this episode.
Oh man, are there some redesigns that pop up in this episode?
Yeah, that was the first time we've seen a few of them. That's the first time
we've seen some of the redesigns. The new designs for the new Batman Adventures, they weren't publicly released yet.
Yeah.
And when Steve looked at one of my samples, he was like, "Oh, your Robin here looks kind of like the new design for Robin." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And I think that might be why he took me off to the side room or back to his office, because he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll show you some of the new designs." And they had not been publicly shown yet.
Damn.
So it's like, ooh, damn. So that was part of why he had me draw some sample pages, because I was kind of getting used to the new style. It was like, okay, you're getting the job. Now you have to relearn all the stuff you've learned over the last 5 years about how to draw these characters.
Well, it seems like you were kind of like happening into it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think he said it's because I drew like Robin's hair like a little bit spikier, and Drake had like even spikier hair than the Dick Grayson design had.
That's awesome. I love these stories. That's like one of the, when we have like Dan Reba come on, it's always like, it's these like kind of like behind the scenes looks. It's always like, it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's fun to talk about the show, but the stuff that, us and the listeners don't get on an every day, I think is a little more special.
And I remember I got the script for that coloring book in the mail on December 24th of 1997.
Oh, okay.
I was in Tennessee staying with my parents for the holiday, and it's still one of the best Christmas presents I've ever gotten. So
I like imagining what you're saying. Like, of course, there must be a script for a coloring book, but I've never thought of it that way. So I'm just looking at like a random page here where the script it just says, "Unscramble Batgirl. Batgirl has been jumbled in with Harley and Ivy. Can you match the correct arms and legs before she becomes a villain for life? It's like, what do you draw for that?
Well, I mean, the script would be pretty basic. It would just be like, oh, okay, you're just going to draw Batman doing this.
Yeah, somebody's just
here's what the caption says. Yeah. The first page was, Batman swinging over the city, and that was just kind of up to me. And I agonized over that first page because I was like, this has to be really good.
The first thing we're giving you is Batman. Can you just impress us right now? Go.
But I remember like the page of Robin swinging. I remember that one coming out pretty easily. Yeah.
Well, we got you here. We know your life story now. What we need you to do is listen to this cute little song by our listener, Cooney Phoenix, and then you're going to tell us what happened in this episode. Here it goes.
Sing up, if you're wondering.
Seamless transition, Jamie.
Thank you.
What you just watched. Sing up, take a listen to the synopsis. The short summary, which is sometimes kind of long.
Thank you, Cooney.
So you're putting it all on me then?
Yes. We always have the guest.
It's the guest privilege. And I love it because it's the one time I get a break.
Yeah. You get to tell us what happened in this episode.
Well, let's see.
You're welcome.
I got my notes. I made notes when I was watching.
As detailed or as brief a summary as you feel you want to represent the episode.
Floats your bat boat. Yes.
So we've got this episode jumps right into it.
Yes.
It starts out with Batman and Robin on the run in the Batcave, and they are being chased by the police. And like the first line of the episode is Commissioner Gordon saying, "Bruce Wayne, stop where you are." So immediately you're like, "Oh shit! What is happening? What's going on?" Batman's on the run from the police, and Commissioner Gordon knows his secret identity.
How do we get here?
I was hooked.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be, though.
That's a strong opening for an episode, right?
It's a very strong opening.
The police are not, they're opening fire on them. They got out of there thanks to like Alfred tackling Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
Who's like, go, get away, sir. Go and save yourself. They get out of the Batcave. They're on like the Bat boat, and they're being chased by a police boat. The captain of which apparently is Amish for some reason. Cause he's got like, the beard, mustache thing going on.
He's got a great beard.
It's a truly epic beard, but
Bruce Wayne, stop. What do you think of my beard? I don't have time for this.
I was like, why is a police boat Captain Mennonite? What is
Can you rate my beard on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's like 6 a.m., raised barn, 4 p.m., go arrest Batman.
Yeah.
Can we have a quick aside to talk about how, like, I've always pictured the Bat boat? Is that what it's called? The Bat boat?
Yeah.
I've always pictured it being this, like, supersonic boat because all the footage is this thing just cruising along.
Yeah.
But then there's, like, this open deck, like, fishing trawler. That is the police boat keeping up with the Bat boat, and I was very perplexed. I was like, oh, surely he's just going to put it into high gear. No, the police boat catches back up. What?
That's true. That is true. They
put a lot of money.
Nightwing catches up to both of them in his little jet ski thing.
Yeah.
Nightwing with his magnificent Billy Ray Cyrus mullet.
Oh yeah, flapping in the breeze.
Because he's not Robin anymore. He doesn't have a cape. We need something to show motion. So they were like, let's give him a gigantic mullet that will flap in the breeze behind him.
I assume that's also called, like, if it had an action figure, it would just be like Night-Ski with a little trademark symbol next to it.
Probably. Yeah. So he catches up with them. He helps the guys get away from the police. Then they are squirreled away in like a cave or something like that. It's a little vague.
A bat cave, but not the bat cave.
Not the bat cave, like some side cave. They found some little grotto somewhere.
Cave.
And they're just like, oh, I can't believe it's ending like this. And it's really bad. It's awful. And then we have a flashback to like how it all got this way, which in the light of what we find out later in the episode is exceptionally weird.
Flashback inside a dream,
it's a flashback inside of a dream sequence, which is really odd.
That's Paul Dini. He can do it all.
That's right. But, hey, it's obviously a highly dramatic way to open an episode, so it worked.
Yeah.
so they say like, okay, well, the Scarecrow seized control of City Hall, and we were there and we were like rescuing the hostages, and Batgirl gets blasted by the Scarecrow, and I think he knocks her off the roof, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she falls off the top of City Hall, and of course Gordon and Bullock are speeding there in a patrol car, and then we have point of view inside the patrol car, and Batgirl just hits the fucking windshield.
Yeah.
Can I swear on this podcast?
Yes, you can.
I'm grabbing some F-bombs.
Yeah.
She hits the fucking windshield. This episode goes hard. And apparently that was like when they originally storyboarded that or did an animatic, the broadcast standards and practices were like, oh no, you can't show that because that's too hardcore. They showed it from like outside, and then they changed the camera angle so it's inside. So now it's just her body hits the windshield out of nowhere, which is a million times worse.
Yeah, it's way worse because you're like seeing it from Gordon's perspective almost. Of like, here's my daughter dying on the front of my car. Yeah,
and that is my favorite type of BS&P note where they object to something and then they find an alternate way of staging it. That's way more horrifying. It's like Robin's reckoning with the
rope swinging,
rope just swinging. Yeah. It's like, oh my god! It's just like, right?
That is one of the hardest moments of this show,
right? Yeah. So then Batgirl is like, "Oh, Dad," and she's dying, and then she's like, "Oh crap! Batgirl is my daughter, Barbara. I had no idea. Oh my god!" Barbara dies. Great vocal performance by Bob Hastings, by the way, doing kick-ass work in this episode.
He hasn't had a lot to do in this iteration of the show yet.
No, they didn't use him as much in this era.
And then for him to just get this really dramatic, like, it's really good. Yeah.
And then, Bullock immediately goes, playtime's over, freak, lose the belt, lose the mask now. Bullock has been like waiting for this day. He's like, I finally get to bust Batman.
He almost should have been smiling like he's psyched or something.
Right.
If not given the gravity of the situation, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Wayne Manor where Bruce is, just sitting there brooding in his study as he is wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets a phone call, and it's Gordon. And he says, 10 minutes on Barbara's computer told me everything I needed to know. And nice security, Babs.
My password is Batgirl. Shit.
I'm just like, aren't you supposed to be a computer hacker? What the hell is going on, Batgirl?
Yeah. Just like the background of her computer is just like a Word document that like lays out everything. He just like opens the laptop and was like, oh my God.
She leaves it open at all times. Today, when I was Batgirl, I was like a diary.
So Batgirl _secret, don't look.
Dad, don't open this folder.
Right. But, again, it turns out to be a dream sequence, so we go with it. That's fine. And Gordon, he's a tad PO'd. He's coming after Bruce. He's got like a whole SWAT team coming out to Wayne Manor.
For the first time in this, I think, don't go hot. When they're running everywhere.
That's true. And they run in, they break down the front door at Wayne Manor, because I guess the implication is that Bruce has Wayne Manor reinforced somehow as like a security thing. I don't know.
That makes sense.
There's a nice like little grace moment where Bruce says, "I'm sorry" to the painting of his parents right before he goes down, which is nice because this was his family home, and he's leaving it for most likely the last time. And then that kind of brings us back to where the episode began. We finished the flashback, and then Nightwing's like, okay, well, let me go. What is he going off to do? He's like, oh, let me go do investigation.
Oh, yeah, he's going to do a supply run.
Right, he's doing a supply run.
He presses left, down, right, up, right, left, and then the supply comes down. And Brian, this is a Helldivers reference for Brian, and not
I know, Jamie. I'm very proud of you for that one.
Thank you. I don't think I got the code right, but there.
No, you did.
No.
It's down, right.
So Nightwing's like, let me go back to my loft. I'll get all my cool stuff from my loft, and then we can be on the run. I wish we'd see more of Nightwing's loft on the show.
Yeah, it's always just like a dark room with
like
a
his loft
samurai
just
statue
a wide open like gymnasium?
It was like a basketball court this time.
It's very empty. That's true. That's true. Like, I know in the writers' Bible for the new Batman Adventures. It said that like Dick Grayson had gotten some sort of insurance settlement for the death of his parents. Yeah. And he used that money to like, buy his own little crime fighting headquarters. And so he has a cool loft and he's got all this equipment and he's his own man now. He's all grown up and he's hot and sexy Nightwing.
He's got a mullet now.
He's got a mullet, yeah.
We joked the last time we saw him in the Catwoman team up Nightwing episode where he's talking with Barbara in the loft and then he's like, I gotta go do Nightwing stuff, and gets on his motorcycle and like a hole opens in the floor and he drives down a big tube that leads him out to like the sewer. And we were just talking because we didn't see that this was like its own single building for Nightwing. It looked like it was like a top apartment complex or something. We were making jokes about like he's just driving through other people's living rooms in order to leave the place. So like in this episode, it's like, oh, is it really hard to figure out where Nightwing lives? He drives through my kitchen at 5 p.m. every night or whatever. I've seen him over here. And Brian immediately called. He's like, nobody's gonna know. I'm just gonna be in and out. And you were like, if they know where Bruce Wayne, like who's Bruce Wayne is, like they definitely know who you are. And then immediately the lights turn on. There's 60 police officers, and you're just like, yep.
Yeah. So Nightwing is captured and exposed. We see like news footage of him arrested and unmasked. Yeah. I like that they had Dick like limping as he's led into the van, the police van.
Because presumably he got shot up by a Gatling gun on a helicopter.
That's the thing. We get like that camera that zooms in on like the twin Gatling guns at the helicopter. And then it's just like, Dick Grayson's arrested. I'm like, oh, I'm surprised he's not ground beef.
Dick Grayson with a slight boo-boo here.
Yes. I guess the cops...
Bullets do that sometimes. They kind of scaze you. Yeah.
Right. They're like, oh, he fell while we were arresting him.
Oh, God. Bullock would do that, though. So.
Yeah, they would. I mean, come on. It's the commissioner's daughter. They're going to be PO'd.
Yeah.
So Bruce tells Tim, you got to leave. You got to give yourself up. That the cops won't blame you. You're just a kid. And Tim doesn't want to abandon Bruce. We got a scene with Gordon where Mayor Hill is telling him, hey, you got to realize how bad this makes us look. Your daughter was in Batman's posse, his brigade. So the city council's basically like asking Gordon to resign.
We saw Mayor Hill for the first time in a long time. Like he was, I almost didn't recognize him because he's a little skinnier than we last saw him, much like Gordon was.
Little frailer, his hair is white.
Yeah. I was like, oh, shit, Mayor Hill, hello. I'm sorry that you're under such poor circumstances, but...
it will not be a surprise to you that I did not recognize him.
There you go. No, it was not.
Well, he's not as prominent of a character as some of the other characters on BTAS, and he hasn't been seen in a while.
Yeah, he was there early BTAS.
Yeah.
Right.
With like the biggest birthday hug.
Yeah.
I do like that he says like, if it was my child, and he's like, well, it's not. And they're like, what do you have against Jordan Hill? What's going on? Why not?
Jordan's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I mean,
he wanted to be a clown after all.
Yeah. But when's the last time we saw Mayor Hill? Probably the last time the Clock King was on the show?
Something like that. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. So and then we have a humorous cutaway where, because Batman's secret identity is now publicly exposed, everybody knows that he's billionaire Bruce Wayne. And we've got Harley Quinn, Mad Hatter, Riddler, and Ventriloquist and Scarface, and they're talking about like doing a class action lawsuit.
Brian's face. I did not remember. I mean, I remembered who was there on the couch, but I forgot that this would be the first time that we would see Mad Hatter, Riddler, and Bane when we get to him in this new design stuff. And you, Brian, just immediately, as soon as Mad Hatter entered the frame, you just started glaring at me like, what the hell is this or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, Mad Hatter, like he's different. He's kind of pointier like you expect, blah, blah, blah. And then they pan over to Riddler for a second and you just were just like, oh.
Wait, I'm a little unclear. Were you reacting to the new designs, the characters?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm still fresh enough that the new designs are very off-putting. Even like I'm only just kind of getting used to the new Bruce. Like I don't like it yet, but I'm like getting used to it. And then you give me like this winter fresh colored Riddler in a spandex suit.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna need a little bit. I like the Riddler.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the older designs better myself.
Yeah.
Really hot take there. Yeah.
I do like the new Scarecrow, though. The new Scarecrow is amazing.
Yeah. The new Scarecrow, that is levels above. That
really
is
hot take there, Brian.
Yeah. This is why I'm on the podcast, for all the hot takes.
Yeah.
Right. So they're doing a class action lawsuit. We have a Johnny Cochran cameo because that was still topical in 1998.
Yeah.
We had one in Joker's Millions. There's one here, and then there will be one more, Brian. There will be one more Johnny.
I'll keep an eye out for it. No spoilers, though, Jamie.
No, I won't.
I don't think they ever name him.
No, he's just always like lawyer or something in the credits.
Yeah. But it's come on, it's Johnny Cochran.
Yeah.
Have Johnny Cochran's appearances ever influenced your timelining efforts at all?
I don't, because I mean it is one of those things where it's like just like Freakazoid having Bill Clinton on or something, where it's like it's not actually Bill Clinton, or whatever. So it's clearly not the same world. So maybe Johnny Cochran had a completely different career path in this universe.
Yeah, this lawyer's name is Connie Jochran.
Jochran, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Jochran. You were there right there with me.
Right. Okay, so Gordon is asked to resign. So he's lost his job. He's lost his daughter. He's lost his job. He's got nothing left. And then we see him meeting with some shadowy figure in the Gotham prison. And if I remember correctly, it was at this time that my videotape of the episode cut off.
Oh no!
when I originally watched this episode in 1998, I was taping every episode, like on extended play, 6 hours a tape, and I had run out of space on this tape. And it cut off like somewhere around here or somewhere in the last act.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I had all this set up and I had no freaking idea how the episode ended.
So you probably had a better time with it than Brian.
You got to remember, 1998, you couldn't just like hop online and be like, oh, I'll catch it on streaming or I'll BitTorrent it somewhere. So I either had to wait until this episode was rerun, or maybe one of my friends had also recorded the episode and I was able to watch it with them. I can't remember for sure, but I do remember that there was a gap
Cortez didn't provide you with an over-the-edge tape.
He did not. He did not. I was recording the show on my own.
I'm always surprised. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm always surprised to hear that from that sort of thing from like when I've talked to Tim Levins about his work on the tie-in comics and stuff, where he's always like, yeah, to like draw the Batcave, I would just have to like watch the show and pause on the Batcave. Like they didn't give him any sort of models for that. They didn't tell him anything. They're just like, set it in the Batcave and figure it out. I'm like, what? It just seems so bizarre to me. Yeah. Like, oh, you had just as much access as I did? What?
Like, I mean, I got copies of the style guides.
Yeah.
But even the style guides wouldn't cover everything.
Right. It would just be like two face-on angles or something.
Yeah, like after I did those Batman coloring book, I got to do a Superman coloring book.
Yeah.
I got a style guide for that covered most of the characters, but Bizarro and the Toyman were not in there.
Yeah.
For some reason. I remember like having to watch the Toyman episode and kind of like pausing it and be like, okay, he comes up to like about Lois Lane's eyes. So he's about yay. I had to kind of figure that out. So I was drawing him at relatively the right size.
That sort of explains why I do remember a coloring, and maybe it is yours, where Bizarro's face is like completely wrong, and I've always wondered about that.
Thanks.
So maybe that's you're right.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. Maybe it's not yours. It must not be yours. Don't worry about it. You did it. You did fine.
Well, I mean, again, though, like I think in your defense, John, like not being provided with the material, like
yeah.
Good luck, draw this thing.
Yeah, I mean, but because I was such a fan, and because I cared maybe a little too much, a little more than I should have. I wanted to get everything right that I could. And I remember on that Superman, I tried to make the prison that showed up look like the prison that was on the show.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that. Nobody was asking me to. But I wanted to.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So back to the summary. Tangent over.
My bad.
So we got Barbara's funeral, and Gordon has an earpiece, and he's waiting for tips from the cops on, if anybody spotted Batman at his daughter's funeral.
Yeah.
This episode goes hard.
You come to me today on the day of my daughter's funeral.
This episode, hardcore. And then, so cop spots Batman, then Gordon mobilizes police against him. And then we find out who Gordon was talking to at the prison, and it was Bane. I love the redesign of Bane, by the way.
Brian didn't.
No?
Well, you just immediately said, like, why is he so BDSM? And I'm like, yeah, that's the go-to comment. Yeah.
From what I remembered, I mean, he was like he was like a luchador, right? Wasn't he Hispanic?
Yeah.
And now he's just like some like white guy who was going to an interesting club in 1998 in New York.
Weirdly, it's the same voice actor.
What?
He did
Henry
not
Silva.
do the accent this time.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the accent isn't as thick. I like the redesign a little more because the first Bane design, he just looks like a luchador. He doesn't really look like a supervillain. And
he's not intimidating very much.
This gave him a little more and it gave him a little more style. And he looks like something besides a wrestler to me. So I
do wish it wasn't as leather daddy as it is, but it is still to more like, oh, that guy looks like someone who could fuck you up.
Is it the spikes on the collar? Is that
it's the collar spikes? It's the gimp mask.
Yeah. I was gonna say the gimp mask. It's like someone the night before doing his design watched either Pulp Fiction or something else entirely and was like, that's a good look for a supervillain.
Bane comes through the door and says, I'm going to pee on your butt.
Pulp Fiction would have been in the very recent past when they were doing that redesign, only like a couple years.
True, yeah.
Oh my God, I wonder if we stumbled onto something.
They could have been thinking, I mean, that seems very likely because, I mean, Pulp Fiction was on where in the mid-90s.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Quentin Tarantino voiced Mad Hatter in this episode.
Yeah, so he fights Bane. He's like, fight to the death, and Batman just gives the most fatalistic response ever. He's like, it makes no difference now.
Yeah. Again, episode going real hard.
And Gordon goes like, he tries to stop Bane from killing him because he's like, I want him alive to rot away in Arkham, surrounded by the monsters he's created. Which, ooh, yeah, it's great.
I did like the kind of poetic nature of Brian sitting there kind of squirming in his seat from the new Bane design. And then Bane just goes like, thought about it. Didn't work for me. And then starts jumping.
Because, I mean, even in as dark of an episode as this, Paul Dini has some great, funny moments.
Yeah.
We have that nice humorous aside with the villains. And, if the... What is the
bats on a spree? Wayne must pay the fee. I think is
that's it. That's it. Yeah, I did write that one down. Batman manages to electrocute Bane using the bat signal.
It looks like he's going to stab him for a second. He's like, not if I kill you first or whatever, and takes out a knife, and then we're what? And then he slices the thing like, oh yeah.
And then he cuts his little steroid board, which is the go-to move when you're fighting Bane, I guess.
Exactly.
And Gordon gets knocked off the roof just like Barbara did before. And I like that even though it's a dream sequence, they still write Gordon in character. Mm-hmm. It'd be the easiest thing in the world to just have Gordon be like so poisoned by hatred. He's like, no, I want to kill him now. But Batman talks him down. He's like, no, give me your hand. And he's like, for Barbara. And he gives him his hand. Mm-hmm. That's a nice moment. But then Bane knocks the bat signal off its moorings, and then it starts rolling towards Batman and Gordon and knocks them both off the roof.
It was creeping death. You kind of saw that coming for a good 15 seconds.
And the end. That's the end of the episode.
Yep, Batman's dead. That's where your tape cut off. So I guess.
This has to be like a dream sequence of some kind, somehow, some way. But I didn't know how they were going to resolve it.
So I checked, and it was almost exactly the halfway mark. I think it's Tim Drake standing there watching Nightwing get arrested on the storefront TVs. And then Brian goes, I swear to God, if this is all a Scarecrow hallucination, I'm going to be pissed the fuck off. And I just went like, ha ha ha, and we kept watching the episode. And then as soon as you hear Barbara go, no, and then you just went, like you just, and just stared at it.
So Brian, did James's reaction when you said that, did that tip you off at all?
Yeah, I tried to hide it, but I'm never good at hiding it.
Actually, James, you're not that you're necessarily good or bad at hiding things. I am just very bad at reading things, I think. Like, your laughter to me was like, that didn't give me any clue if I was right or wrong, but watching it and watching the stakes in the episode, because at first, like when Barbara died, that was my first like, that can't be real. And as it went on, I kept getting more and more clues, and I was like, no. And that's when Nightwing got arrested, I was just like, I'm getting pissed. No,
there's no way they can walk this back.
Yeah. And the whole, like, everyone knows that Bruce Wayne, and I was like trying to give it like the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, well, maybe, you know, like they're going to do something where like, oh, Batman, actually, it wasn't Bruce Wayne. It was a mistaken identity. There was these crooks and they did this and that and the other thing.
Did it?
But, you know, I did not. At the end, they did the fucking Dallas thing. And Barbara wakes up and, oh no, it's all a dream. And then the salt in the wound. If I can take over, John, this last bit.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Barbara wakes up from her dream and she's like, oh my God, I can't hold this information in any longer. I have to tell my dad that I'm Batgirl. And she like has her dad over for a nice dinner and is like, oh, Dad, I need to tell you something about a big thing that's happened to me recently. To me, it was like putting his fingers in his ears and saying la 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 la, because he's like, no, honey, don't worry. I love you for who you are. Just don't tell me anything about your personal life. I don't want to know it. That's that.
Stay in the closet.
Yeah, stay. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Exactly. It was no. I totally probably accept you for who you are. Don't tell me the thing that like apparently is like your biggest concern and biggest fear. Like he didn't hear her out,
it's eating you up inside.
And then she's like, "Oh, Dad," and gives him a hug, and then like the Looney Tunes plays out the end of the episode, or at least it should.
See, Brian, did you notice that Commissioner Gordon winked at her when he said, "And that's all I have to say on the subject"?
Oh no.
Okay, so that was something that took me.
I was seeing a monochromatic kind of red at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes sense.
It was again like the Quentin Tarantino where you hear that like alarm go up.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, Jamie, what? How is that so good, man?
Somehow just pull him out. It took me maybe 3 or 4 times watching the episode before I caught the wink, so I always felt sort of that way about the ending too. But then when you kind of realize that like, oh, he knows she's Batgirl. He's just like letting her, he's just going to let her do that because he knows, like for whatever reason, he's supportive of the Bat people and is just going to let it happen.
He's an ally
in all of them. Yeah.
He says something like, you know, you're old enough to make your own decisions, you know, even if I can't acknowledge them. And he says like, and then in this case, I can't. And I think he means like legally I can't.
Yeah.
Because if I
don't tell me this, please don't tell me.
Know you're Batgirl, that puts me in a very difficult position as the police commissioner.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So I think that's what he's saying, basically, not so many words, because he can't really say, "Hey, I know you're Batgirl," but he can say, "I have a good idea what your secret is." And I can't really go down this road any further.
Batman, whose chin is what I can see. We can see your entire face.
I don't know.
For your eyes.
Jamie, I would love to put something way too big on your plate because you have all this free time. And I would love for you to like overdub and like reanimate over Barbara and have that whole scene done with Bruce Wayne as Barbara and like make him a nice dinner and being like, I've just got to tell you this thing. I've been holding it for too long. And Gordon's like, no, you know what? I accept you for who you are. And then Batman gives him or Bruce gives him a big old hug.
Can Bruce also hug him and just go, "Oh, Daddy"?
Yes!
Daddy. Yeah. real slapsticky with it.
Yeah. We've already had the Growing Pains episode where Batman stands up and says, "I know who Daddy is," and runs away. Yeah. So
oh my
wouldn't be
God.
out of character. Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to do this thing, let's go all the way with it.
At least in like cartoon form. Like someone out there is willing to do like 10 frames of this, right?
Daddy.
Oh my God.
Let me read the official synopsis real quick before we get into more deets. It's very short. It's one sentence.
Oh, I love those.
Commissioner Gordon blames Batman for the death of his daughter Barbara and will stop at nothing to end Batman's reign as Gotham City's Dark Knight, which is really nice because I also have a little trivia piece about how... Where is it? Oh, when the episode was rerun, the programming guide's episode description included the Scarecrow influences Batgirl's dreams.
Oh,
which just completely gives away everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Because like the Scarecrow's not even a big part of the episode.
No. We're talking like 15
just a plot
seconds.
device, basically. Yeah.
So. Plot device.
I was gonna say, where's the button? It's a plot device.
They didn't even use the Scarecrow's voice actor in this episode. All he does is like laugh and grunt.
Yeah.
So it's not Jeffrey Combs as the Scarecrow. It's Jeff Bennett, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Who he's credited as Jack Ryder in this episode, but I don't remember Jack Ryder being in this episode.
That's probably... Maybe you just hear him and you don't see him?
No, he totally was. He was just talking about Dick Grayson being arrested. That's what it was.
Right. And, you know, since that's a named character and that's his regular character, that's his primary credit. And the rule is you can do an extra voice, but I think when you do a third voice, your pay kicks up a little bit. And then, you know, for each subsequent voice, your pay kicks up a little bit more.
So he did Jack Ryder and ha 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 ha.
Right. And then, the two voices give us a few skips. Because, you know, you're already paying for the regular cast. You're paying for Arlene Sorkin to do Harley. You know, the other bad guys, all they go is, I'm sure
they did not get John Glover to go, I'm sure it's just like Bruce Timm or something.
They just, hey, Rando in the studio, do your Edward G. Robinson impression.
Pretty much.
So, Brian, what did you think of the episode? Did you like it up until the revelation that it was a dream sequence?
Okay, there's two parts to the episode.
Okay.
Pre-dream sequence reveal, I was like, oh man, this is top. Like, I'm like trying to like remember like my top 3 on the list and being like, where is this going? Like, this is like top of the top of the top. And then when we had the Dallas reveal, it's so hard. It's so hard for me to like maintain my respect when you're like, you know, you have like amazing writing in this and you have amazing art and like all these people that came together to make this episode, and I don't want to like just shit on it. But like you set something up with so much stakes and then you have the 12-year-old in a creative writing class solution of, oh, somebody was dreaming. It was all just a dream. And I just, it's only ever proved to be a bad idea. And yet they went through with it. And it's just, it hurts me because I want to like this episode so badly. And I like most of this episode. Like, why couldn't they have just like, you know, written out some kind of something again? Like, you know, mistaken identity. It wasn't actually Bruce Wayne. Maybe they like, you know, Barbara was just knocked out and they were like using her, like faking her death to be some kind of like weight to get some solutions to something or something like that. You know,
I've always thought, I think the first time I watched this episode, I hadn't seen it till the DVDs came out in like 2004 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I remember assuming that Scarecrow wasn't just he's Chekhov's Scarecrow in this, essentially. Like he's not like that. Why is it Scarecrow? It could have been anybody. Oh, he probably has something to do with what's going on.
Yeah.
But I think I remember thinking that it was he had gassed Batman and Gordon into seeing Batgirl fall off the building, or, you know, whoever saw her hit the ground. You don't really
think that it's from Batgirl's perspective because she's killed off so early in the episode.
Right.
So you're not really thinking that. So
like,
that's a pretty good fake out, I think.
Yeah.
So I do, like I was leading to, was I do like that as the, it was actually Batgirl. Like, I still assumed the whole time that something was up, that this wasn't real. And I think that that's at least a little more interesting, that the entire thing was fabricated in her mind, like it's her worst fear and that kind of thing, instead of it just because if it got over with and it was actually like Batgirl was never there, but now Gordon knows Bruce Wayne's Batman. Now all these revelations, like all this stuff actually happened. Where do you go from there? Because for one, this is like a episodic show for children on Kids WB that they're not going to next time be like, well, now we're in a world where everyone knows everybody's secrets and stuff. Right. No, it's going to go back to status quo like it always does. So it'd be really difficult to do that.
Yeah, it's a network cartoon, so you can't really change the status quo in that big of a way. Mm-hmm. Brian, I totally see what you're saying. Yeah. And I understand as a viewer how that's disappointing to you. I'm forgiving of it because we do still learn something about Barbara Gordon and Batgirl. Mm-hmm. We learn, that this is literally her worst nightmare of her dying as Batgirl without her father finding out what she does. And as far as she knows, her dad has no idea. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the episode, she finds out, no, he basically does know, but he cannot acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is a change in the status quo.
The bigger picture.
Yeah. And it's not a change that really affects the show overall, but it does give a different color to their characterization. So I think it works for me in that regard.
Commissioner Gordon looks less stupid also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, no, I know. Like if he's like, oh my God, this was my daughter that I've stood 3 feet away from on multiple occasions and not recognized and not understood her voice.
And she doesn't change her voice as Batgirl.
Yeah. Right. Now, while all this does make Commissioner, like the wink and everything that he knew the whole time, it does make him look smarter. It makes Lois Lane look even stupider than before. Barbara's not even wearing glasses. How is she supposed to know?
No,
I'm not trying to open that can of worms. I'm just saying.
No, I do appreciate the character building, because I think like when I talk about the animated Avatar series, one of the biggest things when I cite, like, the 3 people in the world that haven't seen it at this point, one of the things that I cite that I like most about it is their
we have one here today with us. Welcome.
I'll wait here. You go watch the whole show and then come back and let us know what you think.
Right.
One of the things that I cite.
Wow, what a ride!
Wow. It was so great when he avatared like that.
Yeah. Boy, that M. Night Shyamalan movie was disappointing.
No.
Wow, no comparison to the show.
John swinging for the fence.
Much better, and I have totally 100% seen it.
Yes. As of 5 minutes ago. Yeah. And that's all I have to say on the subject.
That's all I had to say on the subject of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Legally, I can't acknowledge that I've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender.
And in this case, I can't.
Yeah.
All right. So one of my favorite things about the show, I'm reeling this back in, is the character development, because I haven't seen many shows that like put their characters through such paces. A lot of times you get a character and they show up on the show, and then there's kind of a trial period in the first quarter to half of a show, and then you kind of like, oh, that's the character, and they move on. And Avatar's been very like, I don't know, they're very pro character development, and I think that's why so many people like really latched on, because you have people going through different stages in a way that people in your life do over the course of, years, or sometimes even less
growing
than that.
Up and
and
figuring yourself
and like
out.
Big events happen and you kind of have to become introspective. And I love that about those characters. And so again, the Dallasing, and if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, just ask James, because I'm not that easy to get a hold of.
That is kind of going back a ways with Dallas.
Yeah.
But it's the pinnacle of that bad example of like, we killed off a character. Mm-hmm. Oh no, now everyone who watched the show hates us. You know what? We'll just make it a dream sequence and bring them back to life.
It was fine.
And it's just,
and they literally like wrote off an entire season of the show.
Yeah.
It was literally the entire season that we did of that show without that character was a dream.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It was all a dream.
Yeah.
Small. So that's what Brian means by Dallas.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
And again, like I can appreciate it. God, it's like early days of BTAS. The Riddler is a character that I super appreciate and love the idea that he's someone, and I'm gonna just try to give you the quick rundown of my opinions of this.
Okay, yeah, please.
The Riddler being someone that's like smarter than everybody in the room, and then when Batman starts to outsmart him, you're like, okay, well, Bruce is actually like one sharp cookie or whatever the saying is. I'm not a sharp cookie. And so...
well, there's the subtitle.
And so, like, you know, with someone like Riddler, you need to, as a writer, I feel, be at least as smart as the character that's smarter than everybody in the room.
Right. I agree.
And even if it's a kid's show, like you are asking a lot of your audience and more of your writing department to write something that's just so like poignant and powerful and like, you know, misdirections galore. And so with something like this, it's like you guys are writing the hardest, heaviest episode that I've probably ever seen on this show with the most stakes. And like you said, you know, we come out swinging with like Bruce Wayne, you know, or Batman being addressed as Bruce Wayne in the Batcave.
Right.
Like, it's the highest of high stakes. It's everything that we know and love and are like hold dearly. And to write it off as a dream sequence, I'm like, you guys are better than that. Like I want an equally hard stakes. I want an overcooked steak of same proportions. As going into the episode.
Thinking of it as, what if this was a 2-parter? What if this was a 3-part? You know, or something like that, where on one hand you have more space to the ability to maybe cliffhanger the death in part 1 or something like that as like like some big stuff's about to go down. And it's also more of a build up to, you're not just suddenly like, oh, well, this is happening, I guess. Like, it's like, oh, it's a normal day in Gotham City, and then it gets worse and worse and worse. But then the bad part about that is you have now twice as much story happening that turns out to be a dream instead of just the one thing. So on that hand, it's like, I get why this wouldn't have been more of a build up to that, but that's also sort of the thing that lacks is like what? Oh my God. Like, I've just been watching Batman for a while and all of a sudden everything is upside down. What's going on? You know, whatever. But I mean, like, it is shocking for that reason too. Like we've talked about when you start off the episode with all that stuff, that's like, oh, Jesus Christ, what is happening? You know,
I think it also I think it works better as like a 1-part thing, because I think if it was a 2 or a 3-part episode, it might have been like a little too much of a good thing.
You know, or you would catch on too quickly or something.
I mean, it would have become very obvious. Yeah. And as it is, it really moves. It really keeps you guessing.
Yeah.
The pacing is perfection.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt
I think it's an excellently paced episode, and it really keeps you on your toes and keeps you guessing, and you're like, what is going on? And so I think they have the reveal at the right time. And I mean, I think it's like you said, it's an excellently paced episode. And I think it works really well. And it's a fun episode because it's a real break in the show's format. And you can't do that sort of thing with every episode. It's, you know, you can't have every episode of like Star Trek be City on the Edge of Forever. It's got to be it's a standout episode like that. And
Brian gets that reference for sure.
I definitely watch Star Trek.
That's the one with Han Solo.
Oh yeah. Boy, Brian. I just feel sorry for you now.
Hey. I'll watch Star Trek. You watch Avatar.
Yeah, there we go.
Which one of us is making the bigger commitment? How many episodes are?
That's very true.
Yeah, Avatar?
No, Avatar has 3 seasons, so you're good.
Okay. Most of them are Star Trek.
If you're looking at it that way, yeah.
Star Trek, 79 episodes. Honestly, you can skip most of the 3rd season.
Oh, really?
Not as good.
That's sad.
I'll send you a list, okay?
Yeah, the abridged version,
Yeah, I'll be like, here are the really good episodes to check out. Here are some episodes you should avoid.
Just watch Space Seed and The Trouble with Tribbles, and you'll understand all of pop culture, and it'll be fun.
Those are 2 good ones.
What were we talking about? Oh, the
Batman extensively.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, we haven't talked much about Past the Story yet, but obviously, it's a TMS episode, so it's going to look good, but this was like exceptionally good TMS stuff.
Yeah.
I would say the only one better to me so far has been the one that was actually Studio Ghibli, which is Growing Pains, the clay-faced little girl.
Now, James, you're at the point where you can spot, the work from one studio to the next, right?
Right.
Okay.
Sure. Mostly, usually.
Yeah. I don't have quite that developed of an eye, especially in the new Batman Adventures era, because they got the show got looking a lot more consistent.
Yes.
Because I think by this point they've really figured out which studios to use and which studios to avoid.
We've talked about that with like BTAS had so many bad animations, like the studios that they would end up having to use that. We for a while they were like, oh, thank God it's a Dong Yang episode. Like this is the good one. Mm-hmm. And then now it's not bad, but we get back and forth between Dong Yang and TMS, and we're like, oh man, it's Dong Yang every time now because we're like, no, I want it to be TMS. Come on,
because the standard has just risen.
Yeah, the bar keeps getting set higher. Yeah. But like we'll get to this in a minute, but like we have a keen effects segment that we do, but there was just a lot of really good. The audio commentary calls it out a lot too for this one, which I wish I could remember how spoilery they get on the audio commentary, because otherwise, Brian, I would recommend listening to it. But maybe I'll give it a
spoilery
breeze
for
through
future episodes.
Yeah. But there's bits where they talk about like when Batman's fighting Bane. And he runs up to punch him at the bat signal, and he kind of does a little like trot there to get his stance before he swings the punch and things like that. Yeah, where it's just little things like that are like, oh my God, like you didn't have to do that. Nobody asked you to do that. It wasn't storyboarded. Right. But it adds so much like humanity to the, a lot of weight to the animation.
I mean, that's what really good artists or really good animators do. Like you're always looking to plus it at every stage. You want the storyboard to be a little better than the script. You want the animatic to be a little better than the storyboard. You want the finished animation to be a little better than the animatic. Yeah.
So I think that helps with if this had been one of the lower tier animation studios, then it would be a lot easier to just hate the episode, because it's like, oh man, that ending ruined it, and also it looked really gross the whole time. But because it just looks so damn good, and the story is 90% really, really good, and then you kind of get the ending that's back and forth. I still think I'm still mostly in agreement that it doesn't ruin it for me, but I also completely understand why it would.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that. Yeah.
When we're talking about the Dallas stuff and like, oh, all the listeners are going to be too young to understand that reference and blah, blah, blah. It makes me think of how, like, I'm sure this was the first instance of that trope that I saw as a kid. So like everyone's got their first version of that. So it wouldn't have been to me like, oh man, they're doing this thing. It's like, oh, it was a dream. How interesting. And not,
maybe that's why I like am so offended when people choose to do this, because like the media I consumed when I was a kid, and like thinking about like the first time I would have been exposed to this, like the Dallas thing didn't come until afterwards, but I already understood it as a trope. And most of the stuff I was watching was like the funniest and stupidest stuff I could find. And so
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, for example. And so a lot of things that did a dream sequence would have been like chastising it from the get-go. So I wouldn't have probably had like a positive outlook on dream sequences, doing crazy things in a show to have someone wake up. Like that would have already been a joke to me. So maybe that's why I'm such a jerk about it, but I don't know.
Ryan, that's not fair. You're a jerk for a lot of reasons.
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
He listened to the Apocalypse Now episode. He understands.
No, actually, I listened to the Apocalypse Now episode, and Brian, you were like so sweet and so apologetic about you not liking that episode very much. And like when James first told me, he was like, oh yeah, Brian did like that episode. I was like, jump him as a co-host now. But honestly, I will say I like the first part of Apocalypse Now a little better than the second part too.
Oh really?
Yeah. I think it's easier to do a great setup than it is to do a great resolution.
Hence this episode.
Over the edge.
Yeah. I was just gonna say. So I totally see where you're coming from there. And I share some of those reactions. I do like the episode more than you overall, but yeah. And, Paul had been in the field for at least 10 or 15 years at this point. I think the first thing he wrote was Fat Albert, so that would have been like late 70s, early 80s. So he had at least 15 years under his belt in the field. Yeah. So I think he knew enough to know, like, yeah, you don't do an episode that's a dream sequence without having a good reason to do it. And and I think it's justifiable in that it is a good character story for Barbara Gordon.
I think the reality of it too is that like it'd probably be wise for us to admit, wholeheartedly that we are not the target audience. And, I guess to be fair, like the way that I, rate these episodes and the way that I judge these episodes not intentionally, but is as if they are made for me. Like I'm asking more of this than it was specifically written for. I had a friend of mine just, and I know there's someone out there who's gonna be excited by this, lent me the first comic in the Last Ronin series, which is this like adult Ninja Turtles thing, which is hard as hell. So that's like cartoons, comics, whatever, made for adults. This is not kids. They're like this is like so much violence. This is like schizophrenia. This is just straight up murder. Like it is intense as hell. Right. And like I would like to, give everybody on the production crew here the benefit of the doubt that if they wanted to write something of that caliber, they could. And it's kind of just my mistake or whatever, or my misgiving, rating this as if it was an adult show. But no, it's kids WB.
When Paul Dini wrote that Fat Albert episode where Mushmouth falls off the building and it wasn't a dream, then he kind of learned from his mistake.
Bill Cosby was like, "What are you doing, Paul Dini? I can't use Mushmouth anymore.
I can only voice 7 other characters in the show or whatever."
And Paul Dini was like, "I don't care, Bill Cosby. You're going to be outed as a horrible person in about 20 years' time."
I have foresight.
I have a sort of a skewed perspective on it too, because okay, James, I know you were a kid when you were first watching this episode. You said you didn't see this one until it hit DVD. Most likely.
I was like 13 or something.
Okay. I was like mid 20s. I was a guy with my own apartment at this point. So, obviously their primary target audience is for kids, but the show's always skewed a little older, which I know they were getting constant grief from the network about, because they were pulling in like teens and up, and Kids WB and Fox Kids before them were always like, "Can you get like the 8 to 12-year-olds?"
Miss Piggy, it says kids in the title of the thing.
But I think that's the beauty of the show, is that it can entertain you as a kid and it can also entertain you as an adult. I never felt like I was, slumming or something watching the show. I never felt like it was below my intelligence. Yeah. Now maybe that speaks to my arrested development, but
well, the writers have talked about that a lot with like not writing down to kids to like, kids are smarter than you think. Like they'll figure it out. They know what's going on. Yeah. But then there's also like, that's always been something in the back of my head showing Brian starting him when he was 37, I believe. When we started watching.
How many years have we been doing this for?
Where like, I know, we're going to have to get through a bunch of sort of more childish, goofier Batman episodes at the start, but like as we just keep going and going, we're going to get late Mr. Kent, we're going to get Over the Edge and Growing Pains, we're going to get, more in the future and stuff.
Mask of the Phantasm,
stuff like that.
Have you watched Late Mr. Kent already?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you like it?
Except for the end where it turned out to be a dream. That was pretty good. Wait a minute, he's Superman, and then he wakes up from a dream.
Because Late Mr. Kid is like probably my favorite episode of the Superman show.
I just came over here to check. It's my number 2, just behind World's Finest.
Okay, alrighty, that's good. I'll accept that.
Thank you.
I don't remember where it is on mine. Is it similar, Brian?
James, yours is it's at number 10, just behind On Leather Wings for some reason.
Oh, that's so weird. That's not even a Superman episode.
Yeah, it's your number 2 as well.
Oh, mine's number 2 behind the World Finest also. Yeah.
Oh, so you're keeping a tally of your favorites as you go.
That's we'll get to that here in a minute. Which, by the way, we should probably press on. I'll tell you the cast of this episode.
Okay,
go for it.
They're all returning actors because there's not any like new characters in this. We have Kevin Conroy
except
as Batman
for Bane.
Bruce Wayne. Oh, except for Bane, except it's the same guy. Matthew Valencia as Robin / Tim Drake. Lauren Lester as Nightwing. Not / Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
I don't know why not / Dick Grayson. He's like the one person they said their name out loud.
Kate's at his apartment.
Richard Grayson. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred. Tara Cherendoff as Batgirl / Barbara Gordon. Still Cherendoff at this point.
Yeah, it's been ages since I've heard her maiden name.
We have Robert Costanzo as Detective Harvey Bullock. Get up when the heart brings back. Get up That makes absolutely no sense to
John, do you need the background to that?
It doesn't, but it sounds kick-ass, so I'm just going to go with it.
Okay, cool. I'll not explain it. Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon. Leanne Shermer as Officer Renee Montoya. I don't know why officer. I believe she's a detective at this point.
She's in plainclothes, so yeah.
Jeff Glenn Bennett as Jack Ryder, off screen. Lloyd Bachner as Mayor Hamilton Hill. Roddy McDowell as Mad Hater in the credits.
Yo, he's a mad hater.
He's kind of a hater.
Was a mad hater, man. Batman especially.
John, hater's going to hate.
And the Hatter's going to hat. John Gary as Lawyer, Johnny Cochran. Arlene Sorkin as Harley Quinn, and Henry Silva as Bane. Everybody's back for a cool dream they all had together. I do like all the times where there's scenes where it's like Barbara must be witnessing this like omnisciently or something, like Gordon and Hill in his office, or like Batman sitting in a side bat cave talking about this and that, where it's like you weren't like anywhere near this. I guess she's dead for like most of it or whatever.
But I mean, it's all a dream sequence, and it's just her imagination, and I don't think she's really imagining anything that out of the ordinary. It kind of reminds me of like, you know, a what if story from Marvel or, you know, DC in the 50s and 60s. They did a lot of what they called imaginary stories, where they do kind of continuity breaking stories like this. Like, what if Superman got married? What if Superman died? What if, what if this happened? And that's how they used to do stories like this. And they just said out up front,
this isn't real.
This is an imaginary story.
That's kind of a cool take, actually.
Yeah, I guess if they started it off, if they started off that way for the episode, it would not have worked very well. No. This isn't really happening. Okay, continue.
That would kind of be cutting the story off at the knees.
Let me go through the trivia that I have, or the trivs, if you will, as we say on this podcast. That's not that we haven't talked about already. This was on IMDb, and I wish that there was a source for it, because I wish that I knew what episode he was watching. But it says, allegedly, Paul Dini has stated that he got the inspiration for writing this episode while watching The Simpsons, even though this isn't a comedic episode. I have to imagine it's like a treehouse of horror, or is something along those lines where someone else is having a similar dream sequence or something. But
they don't mention that in the commentary or anything, do they?
I don't know. I don't remember. I'm
wondering if maybe he's like thinking of one of the Simpsons episodes where they have like an imaginary future where like Lisa becomes president or she gets married or something like that. Maybe it could have been one of those. I don't know.
How could I apply this to Batman and not have it be a joke the whole time? Only a joke at the end for Brian.
Yeah. But, you know, like, remember when Homer's secret identity was uncovered?
Yeah. Exactly. And when he's running through the Homer cave at the start,
did you know
Officer Quimby, or Mayor Quimby, and
the original plan for Krusty the Clown was he was going to be like a secret identity.
Homer. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's why.
That's why their designs are kind of similar.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Did I just blow your mind?
Yes. As someone who lives next door to the Springfield from The Simpsons,
right?
Damn. This is mind-blowing.
In the original airing, when Batman first sees Bane, like, there's that panning shot. He walks out of the door and the camera comes up to his face. Bane's lips are colored white. However, a few seconds later, his lips are flesh-colored and remain so for the rest of the fight. This was fixed in the Blu-ray release, with the white lips being removed and replaced with the proper flesh color. I have to assume that was one of those things Dan's talked to us about where they fixed it the next time, and luckily the people making the Blu-ray actually used that take or whatever. But I do remember when you first see him, I've always assumed he's sitting there like, with his teeth because there's just these big white strips there. Yeah,
just got his clown makeup on.
I wish they could like somehow just consult the directors and just be like, hey, is there anything egregiously wrong in this episode before we go to the final press for this DVD?
Anything you'd like to fix, or that you did fix.
And Dan or Bruce Timm or whoever could just be like, yes, you have to fix XYZ, pull it from the second earring or whatever. But you know, I guess they just have to go back down the path of least resistance and do whatever's easiest, because you know they have a time and they have a budget and all that stuff, so they can't. You know, as much as we as fans would like them to make it perfect, you always have limitations that you have to work around.
I mean, my favorite one in that realm, and we talked about it when we watched this episode, and it was fixed within like a week's time. But when Superman got remastered and put on HBO Max, and there was that bit where Lex Luthor turns around and is just facing a giant green screen. Oh, you have more pressing matters to attend to, and then he just wheels around and there's just a big green wall behind him.
More pressing matters to attend to? I have no background.
It just turns into one of those Who's Line sketches where Colin Mockery's in front of like a giant bug or something.
You know what? I would still find that entertaining.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
This episode marks the only time thus far that Alfred and James Gordon, two major characters in the series, appear in a scene together, even though it took place in a hallucination.
Yeah,
they've never been on screen at the same time.
Wow.
That's including all of the original btas too?
Yeah, and I was thinking back to it, and I'm pretty sure I cannot think of a time where they were ever there together.
I mean, like, Gordon doesn't really, like, come to Bruce's house.
Yeah,
that's true.
And Alfred's barely ever out with him.
And that's the thing, is like at times where
car,
Bruce and Gordon would be interacting, usually Alfred's in like the car or something.
The closest I could think is in Sub-Zero when they're at the fancy party near the start and Alfred drops them off and then they walk in and Gordon immediately greets them. They were like 5 feet away from each other for a second, but they did not interact.
Amazing.
Well, you know, Gordon and Alfred have beef from way back.
Yeah.
That's why Alfred tackled Gordon so hard at the beginning of this episode. It was about a lot more than just secret identity stuff, guys.
Gordon knocked Alfred's daughter off a roof one time, so he was still got a little bit of harboring resentment for that.
Alfred did have a daughter in the comics for a while.
Yeah.
He did. He had
a niece in Joel Schumacher Batman.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Who was Barbara.
That's
all coming together.
That's why they have beef. Because, like, Alfred stole Gordon's daughter, and he's like, no, she's my niece now.
Weirdest theft ever.
Suck it.
That's why Barbara's always hugging Alfred going, Uncle
Alfred.
Last couple of things I've got. This episode appears in 6 Watch Mojo countdown videos. It got number 21 out of 30 in top 30 unexpectedly dark kids cartoon episodes.
Okay.
Number 7 out of 20 in top 20 darkest moments in kids shows. Number 7 out of 10 in top 10 darkest moments in kids shows. They were really scraping the bottle. They needed to do it again, I guess. Number 3 in top 20 greatest Batman the Animated Series episodes. Number 1 in top most shocking moments of Batman the Animated Series. And number 1 in top 10 Batman the Animated Series episodes. So I don't think I agree with it being the top, but it is up there for me, which we'll get to.
But what I'm learning from that is Watch Mojo lists are highly inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yes. And number 69 in top BTAS episodes.
Number 79 in the top 79 episodes of BTAS. Number 89 in the top 89.
172 of most darkest and
deepest, darkest episodes.
Yeah.
Last thing I've got was a really interesting thing that I had to fact check. A year after the episode's airing to the day, May 23rd, 1999, professional wrestler Owen Hart died after falling from the rafters of the arena during his ring entrance at the pay-per-view event WWF Over the Edge, 1999.
Wow. I remember
just
that
a fucking
happening.
bizarre, like the name
I didn't
being the
realize
same.
that they have the title in common because I read that on IMDb and I was like, what does that have to do with anything? And I think okay. I mean, of course, it's very sad that happened. But okay, Over the Edge. Okay, that's the connection.
Well, he was trying to do what happened in the episode, and it didn't work out for him, I guess.
Right. Yeah, he was playing Barbara Gordon. Oh, is that in bad taste?
Probably.
Just a touch.
Well, let's get off of that and we can talk about keen effects besides what we've already mentioned.
Okay.
My favorite shot in this episode is Batman running through the camera. When he runs away from Bane, he runs into the camera and then like transparencies for a second and just through the camera.
What? I didn't notice that.
They talk about that in the commentary. There's when that happens, they're like talking about something completely unrelated, and then Bruce Timm just goes like, "Did he just run through the camera?"
That's funny. It's fun when even they're surprised by something that happens in the episode.
Yeah.
You know, when they're recording those commentaries, it's been a few years since they've seen the episodes.
I mean, I'm always trying to do that with the podcast here is like, you know, I've seen all these millions of times, but I'm trying not to, unless I have to scrub through it for a video we're doing or something, I try not to watch any of the episodes until we get to it. So I'm also coming off of it with like, oh, I haven't seen this in a few years or whatever.
Right.
And then going like, oh, I don't remember Batman ran through the camera.
It's fun to come to them relatively fresh. I mean, this is the first time in a few years that I've watched this episode. So yeah.
I think for a keen effect for me was at the very beginning when the line of cops is like come down the stairs in the Bat Cave and is shooting is shooting at Batman and New Robin. There's some like muzzle flashes that are taking up like a majority of their like personal space. And there's kind of this weird, like it happened so fast that I couldn't really see what was going on, but there's almost kind of an outline of them that was sort of like mercurial and in the muzzle flash itself. So it was this kind of like interesting strobing effect. And it just one of those like, what did they do? Who like made the decision? I was like, okay, well, let's like try to animate this and see what it looks like in action. And that looked really neat. Super keen even.
Super keen. And it's also like from a story perspective, this episode is a wonderful display of how much more they could get away with on Kids WB than they ever could on Fox Kids.
Right.
Because I mean, we've got
guns aiming at the camera.
We've got handguns. We've got a character death. I mean, it's proven to be a dream later, but they still die on screen.
Yeah.
They slam into the windshield.
Like Robin says, like, we are going to die. I don't know if they could have gotten away with that line on Fox Kids. They always seem to shy away from the word die or death.
Or God.
Yeah.
Joker would be like, oh, you're the guy who iced Batman or you whacked Batman.
Oh my God, I didn't think about that. I mean, oh my ice, I didn't think about that.
Oh my heavens.
Yeah.
Alfred still does do that where he says something about heaven whenever the police are approaching.
Well, heavens is kind of in character for Alfred.
I think that's
stuff.
Yeah. But like a animation effect I liked when that shot of Batman and Bane going over the edge. Ooh, see what I did there? Oh my goodness. The edge. As we're coming out of the dream sequence, they do sort of like almost a warp effect where like little
sparks,
beams of light are coming as Barbara's waking up. I thought that was kind of cool. I enjoyed that.
Keen.
That was keen. That was keen. That was peachy keen.
Yes.
Ooh, peachy keen.
Yeah.
I mean, the lighting stuff in this one, that it's funny because that's what this segment started off as when we started the podcast, was we were noticing stuff like Gordon would be looking out the blinds of his office and the light from the blinds would be like warping over the 3D-ness of his face, like they were paying really close, and we were just calling it like light wraps or something like that. Yeah. And I think that's interesting that this episode, to me, the keen effects in this episode were almost all light-based, but not in the like, oh, what a cool laser or something like we would normally talk about. It's like Nightwing getting spotlit by the helicopter has the most anime-looking lens flares ever, and then when it cuts back to him, he's got like a shadow coming off of his body, like haze or whatever of the light is being blocked by his body, and so those etchings are there and that kind of stuff, where it was just very like, oh my goodness, thank you. It looks so nice. Yeah,
I think my two favorite shots of the episode are that shot of Barbara Gordon's body hitting the windshield of the patrol car. That's amazing. And I also love the shot towards the end where Gordon has, he's aiming his gun at Batman and the bat signal is like right next to him and it's illuminating,
lighting him
and
up.
There's like a nice pan across. That's gorgeous. And I used that shot or my DCAU timeline to like represent that episode.
This episode.
Because I think it sums it up so well, because it's like, Gordon with his, he's got a bead on Batman and the bat signal's right behind him, and I just
everything
love that
is
shot.
Topsy-turvy. Yeah.
There's just so many poetic moments like that, and it's like kind of hokey for me to say that, but I think it's true.
And that moment too has a really good cue in the music where like the instant like the frame Batman hits the ground there, you hear like a chime go like dong, like a big bell,
like the bell has tolled.
Yeah. And then it does it again when it cuts to Gordon standing there aiming the gun at him, where it's like, yep, this is it. Like, it can't get any worse than this kind of thing. Like, everyone's about to die. So, yeah, I really appreciate all of the very, like, attention to detail in those moments. Because there's so many of them, and then they have to break it up every once in a while with Harley Quinn screaming about night terrors or something. Like, I don't have to be sad the whole time.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. It is nice that they have those little comedic bits to lighten the episode up, because otherwise this could just be a slog potentially.
Yeah. An addendum that we have to Keen Effects now is called CGI or CG nay. And what do you rate this one, Brian? Because did you notice the CGI in this episode at all?
I didn't.
I'd call that a CGI then.
Yeah.
So this spawned out of Sub-Zero because we had a lot of really obvious,
the
not
polar
very well
bears
integrated,
not walking on the moving background,
3D stuff happening in that.
But that was the first time they were doing that.
Yes, stuff. Yeah. The CGI in this was mostly in the bat boat chase. All the water and all the explosions and stuff were all digital.
I was going to ask you, but I didn't want to like talk over what was happening. It looked out of focus to me. And I was just like, oh, maybe they just like cropped in a little bit further than they were expecting.
I think that was intentional. I think they were trying to give it a little haze, like maybe like the camera lens got wet or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think that was an intentional effect. Or maybe they were just trying to make it look dreamlike to, I don't know.
Tip you off. Yeah.
Okay, well,
it was mostly that, but
I wasn't as put off as I was by last night when I watched Anastasia for the first time.
Oh, no.
the Don Bluth Anastasia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The 97 or whatever it was.
Animated.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, my God. Just like every scene, they're like, we need one CGI artifact in the scene. It's just like, can you stop? Because there's really good art in that movie. I love when they start like towards when they get to Paris and there's all these like tips of the hats to like the French Impressionist painters or the Impressionist painters that descended upon France at that certain time. Yeah. We have this. It's a CGI water bottle. Ooh! Like, stop, guys! Please,
gotta play with the new toys, guys. Play with the new toys.
So back on track, Jamie. CGI then, because I didn't even catch
I would
it.
Say so. The other one that sticks out, or two of them, is at the end when Gordon looks down and sees that the street is kind of like warping to look like really distant and far away. And then also when they're driving the cop car, but right before Barbara hits the windshield, you see an outside look in at Bullock driving, and there's like a layer of 3D city street going across the windshield to show that they're driving the car. So like, I think all of that was really well integrated and does not make you go like, oh God, I'm so taken out of this episode. It was just like a nice little, well, this is an easier way for us to do the Batboat being chased by rocket launchers on a tugboat or whatever. Mm-hmm. So
I agree.
Yeah. Thumbs up to that one.
Which sound am I gonna? I'll do this one this time.
It's Batman's usefulness, baby boo. There you go.
We do Batman's usefulness. We rate him 1 out of 10. It's based on whether if he wasn't there the whole episode, would the episode have gone any different? Would he?
Hey, we're Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. And this was an interesting one because technically all Batman did in this episode was stand there and theatrically go, "The Scarecrow did a thing. I'm holding my hand out."
Well, okay. And then presumably he also brought Barbara back to the Batcave so they could take care of her after she's exposed to the.
And they stopped the Scarecrow at the start.
So he saved her freaking life, Jim.
I don't know. We don't know for sure what happened.
By the way, have you seen like there's been speculation of like who put Barbara in her little hospital gown?
Oh no, I've asked that in videos too. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, hopefully maybe I'm remembering this from one of your videos.
I'm not going to hope that it was any one of them. Actually,
she very sleepily. I'm
dreaming. I'm going to say it was Alfred, and he looked at her like a doctor.
Exactly.
He's very proper. He would not do anything. Yeah, because okay, obviously he's not going to be Tick because that's just all sorts of wrong.
But anyway, 1 through 10, Batman's useful.
Okay, so we do a 1 through 10, and then we rate it.
We also pick an object
from the show that I don't know seems like a laugh. Jamie, do you want to start us off, or should I figure out something?
I'll give Batman like a 6 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
Scarecrows that he uses to trick Barbara to think he's standing there. So,
I'm gonna be a little bit more lean on this one. I'm gonna give him 3 bat scalpels likely capable of killing Bane out of 10.
But don't. What about you, Mr. Trumbull?
Oh, I think I'm going to agree with James. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 fake Johnny Cochrans.
Okay, good.
Nailed it.
6 out of 10 for the 3 that we'll get total. Sweet. Okay. Where was Clayface in this episode? He's always there somewhere in the background, or he was an object or something like that.
He was disguised as either the Riddler or the ventriloquist.
Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh.
And that's why we didn't hear their real voices.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
that's good. That's
way
good.
Oh, wow. You just stepped up the level of this segment a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I won.
You definitely won. I was like, oh, maybe he was like the body of Barbara Gordon hitting the windshield. But like, no, yours is the correct answer.
Nah, fuck that noise.
Yeah.
We also ask this of the episode, every podcast episode, but much like every other guest, I'm not going to tell you what it means because we don't even know what it means. So do you think that this episode was
books or hip-hop?
Books or hip-hop?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
What did this episode, what vibe did it give you? Was it more books or was it more hip-hop?
I'm feeling like it's more hip-hop because it grabs you right at the beginning. It doesn't let go. It keeps you guessing. It's got a lot of tone shifts.
Yeah.
Books, you have to do like homework for books. You don't really have to know anything going in. This is hip hop. This is hip hop.
Okay. I'll agree.
I love it.
And she, like Barbara, I think she did like a breakdancing move. She hit that windshield. So, I think there was a little popping and locking in there. So
yeah.
Certainly a lot of popping. Things probably popped.
She popped that windshield.
She might have locked up her knees a little bit. Yeah.
They had to unlock the car to, get out and see the body. And yeah.
God.
Brilliant. Well said.
Bullock standing there pointing the gun at her. Spin on your head now. Drop it. I've seen it happen.
That would be great if Bullock just ordered Batman to start popping and locking.
Yeah.
Dance, Bat Boy.
He just like throws down some cardboard on the street.
Exactly. Yeah. He says, get up on the Hydra's back and presses play on the remote. Okay, last thing we do is top 10. We'll save John's for last, but we got to go. Brian, are you putting this on your top 10 for new Batman adventures?
Well, we finally have 10.
We do.
So I could choose to not put it on the list.
Mm-hmm. But why would you?
Wow, all of these.
Why don't you read your top 10?
I can't, Jamie. I don't know these episodes well enough.
Okay, well, I'll tell you.
Let me guess.
Brian's
is it number 10, The Demon Within? 9.
All right.
Was it Mean Seasons?
It was Mean Seasons.
Okay, I'm like,
You've
that
only
sounds
changed
like a
like
parody.
2 of these ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good episode.
8, Cold Comfort. 7, Double Talk. 6, Joker's Millions. 5, You Scratch My Back. 4, Sins of the Father. Number 3, Never Fear. Number 2, Holiday Nights. And number 1, Growing Paninis. Growing Pains.
Yeah. Actually, that says grow my penis.
It does. My bad.
Just wasting another minute on your crying. We know where the end. The best is ready to begin.
Grow my penis.
I got to stop because you might get a copyright strike.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm having a tough time with this one because our conversation has made this more acceptable to me.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes this is why I bring guests on because they're better at helping convince you if something's good.
James just lets me be an asshole.
Gang up on you. Okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
I need that sometimes. I'm that stubborn New Englander that I need a little bit of.
Look, Brian doesn't like on leather wings. We don't understand.
That's okay. I'm sure you have other good qualities, Brian.
No,
I don't know.
No, not really.
Can you just because I haven't listened to that episode. Can you bottom line for me why you didn't care for On Leather Wings?
I don't think he even really remembers it.
I don't remember much, but the thing for me that it just didn't seem like an episode that was. There wasn't much at stake, and for me, the heart is usually the thing that I judge an episode on, and the amount of time that I spend thinking about it after, Beware the Gray Ghost, I'm still thinking about to this day.
I love that episode.
Excellent episode. On Leather Wings, everyone's like, "Oh, it was the first Batman episode, and it's got really good art." And I'm like, "Cool about the story?" And they're like, "There's a guy, he's a bat," and then at the end, and it just doesn't really catch historical significance.
Okay,
great,
I can see that.
But the arc of it isn't. It never.
You're supposed to tell Brian he's wrong. You don't get it. You can't understand what.
So back to this.
Yeah,
I liked the start of it so much.
Yeah.
We should have a listener vote for like, how many of you thought Brian would really like this until
How
the last
wrong
5
is Brian
minutes?
about this episode?
No, how many? Well, there's something different. I was just going to say, I'm
great.
assuming most of the listener base has guessed that you would probably like this until the last couple minutes. So.
Yeah, I think our listeners who've been in it for the long haul probably know me pretty well at this point.
You should have a little jingle though. How wrong is Brian? How wrong is Brian?
That could be the jingle.
That's another jingle.
For a while, when Brian doesn't like something, I've been going, "Oh no, it's an apocalypse now."
So I am.
We'll see.
I think. God.
You're really torn now, aren't you?
Yeah,
I am.
I think while you're thinking about that, my list is not too far off from yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same titles because I think we both kicked the same thing off last time. Or no, we didn't even. We just reached 10. I think with this. This might be the 11th one we've watched of this show. I think I'm going to put this at number 3 because for me, it is not ruined by the ending. Like I get why it's cheesy and predictable and a trope and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. But it is still one of the best episodes ever to me. And I have Growing Pains and Holiday Nights of this show as the only ones above it. And I think that those just mean more to me, I guess. And they have more of an impact and thinking like you're talking about thinking like, oh, I'm still thinking about Annie being sucked inside Clayface. Like, oh no.
Oh dude, that episode is just peak, absolute peak.
Yeah.
And I wish my brain, okay, I don't know, is this like an ADHD thing or what? I have a very hard time saying the correct word when I'm trying to say strawberry or tomato. I always switch them around.
Really?
I don't know why. I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go water the strawberries, and it's like we don't actually have strawberries. We got tomato plants. Like I don't know why my brain does that. How this matters? How this matters is that Growing Pains I can't think of as Growing Pains. It's Little Girl Lost.
Oh yeah.
Like it just that's what it is. So I'm like, which one is Growing Pains? Why is it? Oh right, of course it's like my favorite one.
Sometimes if they're like super generic titles, they don't. It can be easy to mix them up. Like there are 2 episodes of Star Trek the original series, Metamorphosis and the Changeling, and I'm always mixing up which is which because they're just such generic titles.
Yeah.
So
like Dreams in Darkness and Perchance to Dream. Like, okay, thanks. Which one was the Scarecrow? Yeah.
Pretends to dream in darkness.
Yeah. Dreamscape.
Oh.
Yeah, it does get trickier when they're similar titles too. Yeah. Which if a show goes on long enough, you get a lot of similar titles.
Running out of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you have the same one twice. I think there's a Static Shock episode called Blast from the Past, and we've already had a Superman episode called
I think the Superman one is called Blast from the Past.
Yeah,
I think
plural,
it's plural,
yes.
and I think the Static is singular.
Just Blast, yeah. Brian won't remember that at all.
Like,
so it's okay.
Are you going to cover Static?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've made my decision.
Okay. You simultaneously ignored some Static Shock information, so it's good.
I honestly, I was completely like, I was going back and forth. I literally didn't hear what you guys are saying. As much, and I do want to go on record as saying that I hated how they ended it.
And you have every right to do that, but you're wrong.
I'm also going to put it at number 3.
Hell yeah.
Which I'm surprised our top 10 on TNBA is so similar.
You're like a morning DJ with the sound effects.
Yes.
Oh, I got 6 pages of them.
Yeah.
Disappointed! That's the newest one I put on.
I'm so glad you put it on. Oh, God.
I didn't have to be. I was ready to press it for your top 10.
But you're disappointed that I put it in my top 10. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a writer. I don't think I could claim to have written a better ending to this show, but I think I would have written it differently. That being said, the first 75-80% of it, if you're ignoring the reality of what's going on or what's going to happen in the future, it's a great episode.
Yeah. And we can't talk about it yet, but there are other reasons why watching this episode with the perspective of the entire DCAU that the listener may know and John would know, you could watch this and be like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like that doesn't, like, I won't give any more information.
I'll find it out months from now or years from now.
Yeah, you will. But again, that's just another one of those things where I'm trying to think of it as we're going right now, where I feel this places for me, and I think that's a solid
again,
spot.
like props to you, Jamie, for being able to do that. Like I think most people like they maintain their biases.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Well, it's something that we talked about a lot in the early days of Batman, where everyone's just like BTAS is the best show ever, and like to be fair, like I loved it, and I see why people are so obsessed with it, but there are so many trash episodes.
Right. And
there are trash episodes, but the trash episodes, they kind of fade in your memory. I mean,
do they?
I'm not breaking out, I've got Batman in my basement a whole lot.
But you got it in your holster, and I'm sure so is like the Sewer King and the Clock
And honestly,
King
like one time I was talking with Dan Reba, and he was telling me kind of like a bit about the original concept that they were thinking for that episode, and it was like much more Hitchcocky and suspenseful.
Which one, the Sewer King or
no? For I got Batman in my basement.
Oh,
and I was like,
okay,
that sounds pretty cool, actually. But I think it got kind of watered down through, I guess, standards and practices, and probably other things.
Growing pains of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Little girl lost.
I think when something I learned when I was writing the oral history of BTAS for back issue 99. Gratuitous plug.
Well done. Say it as many times as you want.
Yeah.
You mean the deep freeze coloring book that I have here?
Yeah. Something I realized, like, Batman the Animated Series, they got their growing pains out of the way pretty early on. And they, once they brought Alan Burnett on as the new,
it takes a shift.
Story editor. I think they were all kind of on the same page about what the show was, and they were able to get a higher consistency of good episodes.
We definitely still had our like parts of this podcast where I'd be like, "Don't worry, Brian, we're done with the bad ones," and then there would be another like really bad one randomly, and I would be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Now we're done," and they would happen like 6 more times. But it was it gets exponentially more consistent and good, especially now in this era of what we're watching. But also, you had asked me beforehand if we were going to talk about the new Caped Crusader show at all, and we're unfortunately not very much. But I just wanted to drop that I was witnessing a Facebook conversation where there was people asking like, "Oh, hey, is this worth watching? I didn't know this was happening," or whatever. And of course, it's Facebook, so most of the comments are just this vitriolic bullshit where everyone's just like, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Why would they ever? Yeah, they changed the gender of this. They changed the skin color of this, so it's really bad. All these stupid
hashtag
things.
Woke.
Yeah, exactly. But someone said how much they were like, oh, why would you even try to do another like Batman the Animated Series kind of show? Like, you can't possibly top the original. And then there was about like 50 comments after that of this person arguing with like 2 or 3 other people where they're like, go back and watch Batman again. Like, you probably don't remember how inconsistent and sloppy a lot of those episodes actually were. And
that's
the
very
people
true.
that make the show will even sit there and go like, ooh, this was not a good one. Oh, blah, 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 So it's not like it's this wholly untouchable thing, but it's still like, I was happy that when we got through BTAS, I asked Brian, like, so is this a show you would like recommend to people? And he's like, yeah, like I'm glad I watched it. I enjoyed watching it. And even when we had Sewer King and stuff like that, where it was just so bad that we were just like screaming and laughing at everything, that was almost more fun than some of the best episodes. So it kind of evened itself out.
It can be fun to hate on the bad stuff. I mean, I am a podcaster, the SNL Nerds. We've watched a fair amount of bad movies for that, and it can be fun to like just snark on the bad movie. I mean, that's how like Mystery Science Theater 3000 came about.
Oh my God, yes.
Sometimes you have Blues Brothers, and sometimes you have It's Pat.
Yep. Watch both of those.
Wow, Jamie, good
That's
gets.
Batman the Animated Series for you.
Yeah, and like, I mean, people build things up in their memories, and also if it's something you watched as a kid, you're much more forgiving of it, because it's connected with your happy childhood memories.
Yep, nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
I live off it.
And with Caped Crusader, I think so many people, they do have kind of a skewed thing. They're looking at it because Bruce Timm and James Tucker are involved with it. They're looking at it as, oh, this is supposed to be a revival of BTAS. And they're like, no, it's not. It's a new show with Batman and similar designs, and a couple of the same people are working on it. But otherwise, it's like a new crew. It's new voice actors. It's largely new writers. It's a new show.
Yeah.
And you need to judge it on those terms.
Yep.
Because exactly. I just think that's the only fair thing to do.
That is such wise words, though. Like I hope that people hear that, and I hope they take it seriously. Like people listening to this podcast and beyond. It's such a fair point that we have a tendency to get caught up in this is how this is the way that my world exists. When something challenges the worldview, you get offended, even though it's not necessarily something to be offended by.
And Bruce Timm has said with Cape Crusader, he said like he was approached to basically just do more Batman animated series episodes, and he was like, been there, done that. I'd rather do something new. And I admire that. I mean, because also I think he's smart enough to know I can't compete with my own past, because that has been built up by fandom so much.
Yes.
That if I literally went back to btas and did like same character designs and same continuity and all that, people would still tear it apart. They'd be like, "Oh, this isn't as good. Bruce Timm has lost his touch." Blah 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 blah. And they're still doing that to a degree with Batman Cape Crusader, but they're at least judging him, for he's trying something new, and I admire.
Yeah. And it's also nice that for Brian's sake, he didn't do more btas, because he's just extending the podcast more than it's already going to be.
For me, that'd be fine if that's what he wants to do. But John, much like yourself, I respect the fact that he wants to do something different. Because like my biggest tirade of the last decade is like, why is everything a remake or a sequel? And I'm so tired. I'm so tired that we just like, I'm having to go to like foreign films to try to find anything at all that's like not just like a copy and paste of something that already exists. Because it's just like, I'm tired. We've done that. We've remade that 4 times. We're remaking it a 5th time. And so like, good for him for being like, okay, I want to do a Batman show, but it's not the same. Like, which it's kind of the same thing for me, but all the same, I respect that he was strong enough to just say, no, I want to do something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and he's also personal, like as a person, he's at that level now, or I mean, he has been for a long time, but where he can just be like, I'm actually doing this. And they'll go like, oh, okay.
I'm sure he's got a fair amount of clout to more or less do what he wants. And deservedly so.
Yeah. And then I'll wrap this up by saying I'm also glad that was how this episode came off, because like I said, I haven't watched this in a few years, and it's always kind of the nagging feeling in my mind of whenever we get to anything that I remember being really good is like, is it actually really good, or was it just really good when I was 13? So
you need a new button. Is it good, or is it nostalgia?
Right. Yeah. How wrong is James?
Wow, John, what a really cool thing you just said, John Trumbull. Here we are going to the mail now. A whoopity flu.
I met Mark from The Room last night.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Why? Was he at Roger Rabbit screening? What?
Yes. There was also a screening of The Room with like live actor question, and I got there and he was like setting up a merch table. I was like, oh fuck, that's Mark. And I don't know his name.
Did you say the thing? Did you say oh hi? Do you think he would be upset if you did that?
I don't know. But what did happen was I was like, oh man, if he's like still at the merch booth afterwards, I'm probably gonna like buy a t-shirt, but I like really want to go see Roger Rabbit right now. So I'm just gonna like ignore this whole situation.
I mean, this is not like a celebrity sighting. That's still kind of cool.
Yeah. So on the way out, Roger Rabbit ended, I'm guessing the same time The Room / actor questionnaire or whatever ended. And I was just like, sorry, I didn't know you were doing a thing here tonight. He's like, oh, did you see Roger Rabbit? I'm like, hell yes, I did. He's like, he's like, is it any good? I'm like, dude, it's better than I imagined. Like the artistry, like nothing of it really timed out. Like it's actually one of those things that's like aged better. I didn't remember there's like a whole like anti-capitalist message to this. Yeah. Like, holy shit. But anyway, so we're just like shooting the shit. He was talking about his plans. Apparently he loves the movie Fire in the Sky, which was filmed in this area. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
I didn't. That movie scared me senseless as a kid. But he was like, he was going to guess he was hanging out so he could like drive around today and like tour all the like the filming locations from it. And I'm like, that's cool. But he's got a movie coming out called Forbidden Sky.
Oh, you wrote it down. You actually wrote it down on your phone, but with your handwriting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know. I've got a stylus because I'm really cool.
I got a stylus.
Look. Oh, really? Yeah. Are we stylus bros? Check stylus that out. Bros. Wow. It's handy.
Mine's longer than yours.
No, it's not.
The listener can't prove otherwise.
But yeah, so I just had a conversation with him, and he was pretty lovely, but gave me the weakest handshake I've ever seen in my entire life.
And You've seen lots of handshakes.
Afterwards, honestly, afterwards, you could cut all of this out or leave all of it whenever you fancy.
Well, what if he listens to this and he's embarrassed by the weakness of his handshake?
I'm sorry. There's just a point where you have to have some semblance of a handshake. Yes. It was one of those. He said, "Oh, sorry, man. What's your name?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Brian." He said, "Oh, hey, Brian. Nice to meet you." He put out his hand. Not like this, listener, if like you are listening, Jamie, if you leave this in, not like a normal, like pointing your kind of fingertips roughly at the person you want to handshake. He gave me, and Jamie, I'm going to need you to explain this. He gave me this.
The monkey's paw.
I don't know. So I kind of like
down, fingers curled in.
Yeah. So I kind of like grabbed his fingertips and I was like, that's weird.
They're cold. I don't like it.
And I was like, goodbye, Mark.
Actually, Mark. I don't know the actor's name.
I don't know his name either.
Oh, well.
Should we find out?
His name is Weak Handshake. So he has to stay true to his nomenclature.
Yes.
He cannot waver.
Oh, Greg Sestero.
You know, this is topical. If you want to reach out to us like the fire hand at the end of World's Finest Part 3, get a better handshake. You can send a punctuated email or a 60 seconds. So mean. What if you're listening? I'm so sorry, Greg. Or a 60-second voice message to batwagonpod@gmail.com. He stopped listening after you said that you... Oh, no, you said you didn't remember his name way after the handshake thing. Or leave a comment on today's episode on the Podtower YouTube channel, but please don't spoil anything past this episode for Greg.
He was a nice guy. He was a very nice guy.
That's good. We have a new review on Apple Podcasts.
Bring that review. I want to hear it now.
It's 5 stars. It is from Blaine 11111. Blaine 11,111. Great show. You should be listening. 5 stars. Get ready to join the dynamic duo of podcasting. Jump on the Bat-Wagon is a wildly entertaining and informative ride through the world of Batman, Superman, and beyond. Oh, very clever. The host's chemistry is undeniable, making each episode feel like a fun conversation with friends who share your passions. Their in-depth discussions on how people experienced the DCAU in the days of the 1900s are engaging, well-researched, and hilarious. The podcast's energy... This is like a real review.
Yeah,
the podcast's energy is infectious, making it impossible not to jump on the Bat-Wagon and join the excitement. Whether you're a diehard Batman fan or just looking for a fun and lighthearted listen, this podcast has something for everyone. That's like the two of us. So grab your cape and cowl and join the Yoppie journey. Thank you. That's pretty good. That's very nice.
Jane, how much did you pay Blaine for that?
$11,111.
Nice.
This is good. Thanks, Blaine.
That was worth it. That's like...
It's an investment.
People are it's always, I don't know. It's so like, sometimes I get caught off guard by the fact that we do this thing that people listen to because
people actually listen to this.
Yeah. Because like,
it's not just Kimmy.
Yeah. Most of our mail segments are like returning people and some new people, but it kind of, it's all dwarfed by the fact that it's just you and I on Zoom or in person, chatting about these things,
bullshitting about, and saying things that shouldn't be funny to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like you don't get that immediate payback or otherwise, until like a week afterwards. So it's just, I don't know, something like that it's really sweet to hear. So thank you, Blaine.
Yeah, thank you, Blaine. Are you related to David? Kyle.
Kyle?
We didn't say any Kyles this time, so we had to make
I know. I'm sorry, Kyle.
Says, hey, Brian, man, and Jamond. Congrats on reaching 3 years of the podcast. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for submitting your voice message to the Film Realist 100th episode celebration. You're welcome. Cue voice message. Okay, I will do that now.
The Demon Within is awesome. I think it's a really fun episode, introducing some magical elements, supernatural, and Batman always seem to mix really well. One of the things I think that's really funny is TMS taking over, and every time their influence with anime is quite hilarious how it's introduced or used in a Batman episode. In this one, there's all these speed lines in white anime frames. It's awesome. I love the spookiness of this, and Clarion is just a spoiled little Republican boy. Sorry, not to bring politics into this, but, that's what he reminded me of now. And is anyone else looking at couches differently after some supposed stuff with... Anyways, never mind. My question is, with some of the spookier elements in this, what was the first movie you watched that truly scared you and gave you nightmares?
Hey.
For me, it was the very first of the Leprechaun series. Thanks, guys. Stay yoppy.
Brandon just said his a second ago.
Yeah,
or maybe 10
literally
minutes ago at this point.
Fire in the Sky. Like, I think I'd seen other horror movies before Fire in the Sky, but that was the, me not wanting to go out at night. Because I lived in the woods. That movie's set in the woods.
I lived in fire.
I lived in the fire. Have you seen Fire in the Sky?
No,
Did I ask you that?
I know of it, but I've never watched it. Yeah.
I actually am putting it on my list to rewatch because I don't know if it's going to be as scary.
Fire in the Sky. I can go twice as high. I think the first Alien, I've said this before, probably on this and definitely on the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. Starring Dylan and Gabe, about
remember to tell Gabe that she rules.
Gabe with the terrible handshake, about watching it as like a 10-year-old.
Gab definitely has a strong handshake.
Gab has a great handshake, I am certain. Yeah. But yeah, watching the first Alien as a kid and then the chest burster scene happened and I was just like, nope, shut this off. I can't do it. Like the fact that the chest burster runs away off camera and they don't know where it is, I was just immediately like, I can't do this. And it took me several months and it had to be broad daylight for me to watch the rest of it and all this stuff.
Okay. Did you also have that reaction with Spaceballs when a similar thing happens?
Oh, yeah. And then he starts singing and I was like, I just can't do this. It was very Warner Brothers. This is from LexCorp Cares. Insert clever LexCorp pun here. Hey there, Yoppie dudes. Just chiming in with an important lesson we here at LexCorp have learned. Sent from the corner of this god-awful Gotham bar where the lights keep swinging. Seriously, it's hard to see anything.
Hey, jousting bumper boats, it's LexCorp here. It's been a really eye-opening day. I feel like I've learned and grown a lot. You see, there I was in the LexCorp offices on hour 9 of a slick 10-hour shift of increasing corporate profit when Lex comes in. He's looking hot like always. He's got his cool head wax on, the one that makes it look extra shiny. You know the one. And he says it's time for LexCorp to start giving back to the community, and that it was my job to go to Gotham City to work at a homeless shelter that was sponsored by LexCorp. He also mentioned bringing our Lexoscale 5000's emissions in line with the EPA guidelines and hiring, like a human to do our taxes instead of a shark to just eat the forms. And the thing that I learned from this is that you should never drink the Gotham tap water. Because you see, what happened is I didn't do that. I went on a flight, and they made me dump out my water bottle, and I had to fill up at the drinking fountain, and then I spent 3 hours tripping on scarecrow gas that got into the drinking supply, thinking that I was going to go to Gotham City to help people. Anyways, the moral of the story is don't trust this cursed city and get out as fast as you can.
It does tend to happen, yeah.
Beautiful. I didn't know where that was going.
I could kind of see it approaching like, wait, this is too good to be true. Banana Boy says okay.
Oh, okay.
That's an interesting development. Olivia Maulding. I'm still catching up on episode 90 now. But when you guys asked how we thought you looked like, witness sketch style, I have to admit I didn't really think about it, at least for you two. When Dylan comes up, in my mind, he's a 5'7", 5'8" small guy with an actually good mullet. Okay. Well, someone could draw that. That
Dylan?
would be cool.
Dylan, are you going to get on growing that mullet?
I hope so. It says, update, I'm a park ranger by the Canadian border, and when I was going around cleaning out fire pits, there was a bottle of Yop. It made my night.
I want your job? Wait a minute, what the fuck?
I want to clean Yop out of fire pits.
I mean, I just want to hang out in the woods and have somebody pay me for it. Like, I feel like I'd be a happier person.
Yeah. We should make sure that when we do our, techless camping trip that someone's paying us to do it. Otherwise, I don't know why we would do it. This is the damage report within from Euphonium Star. Erlenmeyer flask, 3 test tubes, vase, Bruce's jacket, 5 glass containers, glass lamp, Tim's arm, glass vial, door, movie theater sign, ice cream truck, Kirby Cake Company window, train, building, Batman illusions, metal pipe, building walls, apartment wall, street, fire escape. Thank you.
Nice. Succinct, but poignant.
Drew 1, so close, Brick, but the magic chant is actually, big fight comes, so with words that rhyme, let's power up, it's morphin' time. Yeah, that was really close to what you said. So. Dylan Sargent, the demon / over the edge. Hey, Sarge here. So a few things. One, I've done some looking and it looks like depending on the continuity, some have them switch places, others have Jason inside Etrigan. Okay. Now on to today's episode. Poor Barb, really feeling that fear toxin. Anyways, thanks for the entertainment. very, very succinct. Thank you. Yeah. Jacob Alvarado, Over the Fucking Edge. I haven't commented in a while, but Over the Edge is my favorite episode of the entire DCAU. This episode has stuck with me since I was a kid, and I've always continued to love it. An emotional episode that's such an awesome and dark story. It has some of the best villains, with the Reanimator as the Scarecrow, and with the badass Bane, even though he's in a gimp mask. The whole Bat family being included is something I've always loved, even though it's literally the Bat family being torn apart from each other, but moving on. The idea of Commissioner Gordon versus Batman is such a compelling story that I think they nailed here. I could go on and on about this episode, but I won't for time's sake. Hope everyone is well and staying yoppy as fuck. So I am. I think
that's my kind of guy. You know, I want more opinions, and I know it's going to be kind of like this is an after the fact thing. I guess I needed to ask for this, a week before actually watching the episode.
Well, there's one every single week, as we know. So.
Every single week without missing
every week, every
Maxwell.
Friday.
Hi, buddy.
Max.
I know it's dinner time.
Max.
God, he's so cute. Fuck, look at that. Oh, he's sitting.
Pull back that fur, watch some Batman.
He's here. I'm going to give you a little bit of a view of this, Jamie, while I'm asking.
Oh,
look at how handsome.
That's such a good boy.
Such a good boy.
I can tell that breath is hot.
Oh, yeah. I can feel it from like 3 feet away.
I can feel it from like hundreds of miles.
My question is like, I suspect there's going to be a lot of people liking this episode. Look at that
looking
smile.
at Max and listening to you talk. I'm going to...
So anyway, I wonder if more people, like people's thoughts about the whole... dream sequence kind of thing fake out. Like, does that impact it for you, listener? Are you okay with it? You're just like, no, that's fine. That's a totally valid way to end an episode. Oh, he's down.
Oh, he's down. And he's down. All right. This is from Dr. Derp. Return of the Mail, Over the Edge, or The Last Domino. 10 points to whomever gets the reference. It's not me.
The Last Domino.
Pant, wheeze, pant. I spent 3 months lost in the chasms of Hyrule trying to find Tobias Yoppie Bayfridge's prized first place MacGuffin, and it was all in a vain wild goose chase. That funny old man with the banana obsession gave me a bum steer and stole my $20 Starbucks gift card. Oh well, it's nice to check in with the Yoppie dudes again and to see I haven't missed much, except the fact that Barbara Gordon is dead and Commissioner Gordon knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. What? That's absurd. If Bruce Wayne is Batman, then Two-Face is the Queen of England. Turns out all you need for a great Bat Family episode is a story about the Bat Family falling apart as the legend of the Batman grinds to a "Do you see what you've done?" worthy of the best Phil Collins vocal performance. 10 points to whomever gets the reference. Given how tension between Batman and the GCPD has been running throughout the DCAU since On Leather Wings. Oh, what a very good episode. This is an incredibly poignant direction to go. This episode is nothing short of an epic. The dialogue exchanges between Bruce and Gordon, Bruce and Harvey even, are haunting. Everything about this feels perfectly climactic, as if it's been what Batman the Animated Series had been building up to from the beginning. It's good to know some things don't change, though, like the reliability of a baseball cap is the most convenient disguise since Groucho Marx glasses. Certainly more convenient than those trench coats the Ninja Turtles wear. Say what you will about Bane's unique design in the new Batman Adventures, but I find his small role in this episode to be significantly more impactful than his dedicated episode from Adventures of Batman and Robin.
That's fair.
Yeah. I can't believe I missed the episode with Etrigan. I can't believe I missed the episode with Steel. I can't believe I missed Apocalypse Now. I can't believe I missed Sub-Zero. I can't believe I missed the episode where Joker subscribes to HBO Max. I can't believe I missed the episode Taylor Swift wrote with Bon Iver. I can't believe I missed Captain Sham dating Bibbo Bibowski. How could I have missed it all? No! Wakes up in a cold sweat. Oh, thank God it was just a dream. That means I didn't miss any episodes after all. And more importantly, Barbara is alive. Does that slightly negate everything I said about this episode being climactic?
Yes.
Maybe, but Barbara is alive. Not to mention the closing conversation between Barbara and her father is really touching. Favorite moment, the period between Commissioner Gordon processing Barbara's death and Bruce Wayne escaping into the Batcave before the raid. Every line of dialogue, every character interaction, even Bruce Wayne telling his parents, I'm sorry, it just hits you in the gut. And the episode itself knows how powerful these moments are. There isn't even any background music playing for most of it. Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan. Why haven't you mentioned that before this comment, obviously? Words of wisdom, don't do scarecrow drugs. Until next time, I must resume my journey across the kingdom of Hyrule in search of the enigmatic Tobias, a Yoppie Bay fridge. Keep calm and yop on falls into a chasm sent from my Sheikah slate. This must be a Zelda.
It's a Zelda thing, yeah.
Zelda thing. Oh, well, I'm glad. Ashley Tutchin. Oh, come on. I love Etrigan and Jason Blood. And personally, I like it when Batman gets embroiled in the supernatural. As for Over the Edge, this is what I've been waiting for. Over the Edge is by far my favorite episode of TNBA and possibly even BTAS as a whole. The shot of Babs falling, then bouncing off her dad's car is one of the most strikingly brutal scenes in the DCAU, and it's permanently ingrained into my brain.
Agreed.
Then at the other end of the spectrum, you have that beautifully tender moment between Babs and her dad at the end where he implies that he knows her secret and approves of it. Brian, if you don't like this one, I'm taking you off my Christmas card list. Happy belated Yop-iversary. Thank you.
Okay, but so
you put it at number 3.
Yeah, but kind of begrudgingly.
a little bit. I mean, but we're hearing some commentary on the ending there.
Yeah.
Hex Lex. Before I get into this episode, I wanted to quickly address your question from last week about whatever happened to Billy Zane. From what I understand, he was very likely blacklisted in the early 2000s for playing a cruel and murdery American general as a villain in a Turkish movie, or at least this is what I've heard from other Kingdom Hearts fans about why he never reprised his role as Ansem, the game's villain. Well, that's my first knowledge that he was the villain of Kingdom Hearts, so interesting. Wow, this one. The first half of this episode is some of the most compelling story I think we've seen from Batman so far. Not that the second half is bad, I just feel like instead of randomly throwing Bane into the mix, we could have had a heartbreaking fistfight between a furious Jim and a Batman who's unwilling to hurt one of his oldest friends or something along those lines. Ooh. Very emotionally driven episode with one unintentional chuckle I did get was Batman saying, Scarecrow took control of City Hall, and he's just in the middle of the room holding a stick. Thanks for your time as always, Yoppie Tuesdays. Yeah, they don't really say how, but he did, I guess. Yeah.
Sometimes you just do.
Speak softly and carry a big stick, he said. Eric LeBeau, Over the Edge, or wait, who took Batgirl out of her costume and put her in the hospital gown? Well, we talked about it. Well, I'm willing to bet that Brian either figured out this episode was a dream within the first 5 minutes, or once he found out toward the end, just exclaimed that it was cheap. It was a little of both those things. It was the first 10 minutes, but yeah. Mainly judging this by the usual trend, but then again, it's always a coin flip with him. I can't help but wish there was some something illegible in the background that would hint at this being a dream for rewatch value, just as a nice callback to Perchance to Dream. Oh, yeah. That would have been cool.
That's brilliant.
That might have been too obvious. But then again, we often have signs that aren't supposed to be spelled wrong that are anyways.
Did that one say Schmlorf?
Yeah. Oh, I was supposed to say Schmlorp. Sorry. Well, I'm sure people are tired of being advertised to, so I think it'd be best for me to not ask the listener to join the Patreon for as little as $1 a month to get early access to Watchtower database videos and get us closer to an episode of Will It Canon that will reveal if the Batman and Teen Titans exist in the same universe. Nope, won't be doing that. Until next time, keep calm and yop on. Sounds good. Thank you for not doing that. It's always good.
That would be, it would have been a little too much in this episode. Yeah. So better that you held off.
This is already very long, so why would we talk about that? Super Beetle, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night, Jinx and Brain Rot. It's one of my second favorite.
That's accurate today.
Second favorite episode of TNBA, Over the Edge, or boy, that escalated quickly. I wonder how long it took Brian to figure out it was a dream. Nevertheless, it's the journey, not the destination. How likely do you think it is that in real life, Jim Gordon already figured out Bruce's secret? With that in mind, stay yopped over and enjoy the week. I guess if he would know his own daughter is easier, and maybe he's been snoopy and already hacked into her computer or something, but he probably has the same deal with him of just kind of like, yeah, I know, but I'm not going to do anything about it or whatever.
I like the idea of him figuring it out and not saying anything.
Yeah. Wency209, happy anniversary, you Yoppie dudes.
Thank you.
Keep making your dumb jokes and controversial opinions on media. We will. Thank you very much. Scarloey, sleeping bat beauty. Go.
Hello, listener, and welcome back to Jump on the Mechanic Wagon. I'm your host, Scarloey1. In this episode, I will tell you about Season 1, Episode 11 of the New Earl Adventures, Wake Up.
Wake up!
Earl wakes up in the hospital. Oh, heavens. It was all a dream. Batman didn't fire me, and I didn't start working for the villains. What are you talking about? You just had your appendix removed, said a nurse. Oh, yeah, I remember. As the nurse left, she said, Who is Batman? Is he friends with Spider-Man? As she walked by a window, and we can see the Daily Bugle outside the window. Scarloey cannot record an outro because he is in a coma. Don't worry, he'll probably be better next week. Anyway, bye-bye.
Very good outro. Earl's been in the Marvel universe the whole time. I like
Holy
that.
Fuck, that's actually,
what if that's
cool.
how over the edge ended?
Oh my God.
And she was like Mary Jane the whole time or something. Just like you predicted at the start. Louisiana Purchase.
Hey.
Biggie voice. It was all a dream, as I made that joke. I'm too tired to think of funny names. I personally really enjoy this episode. I like heroes facing the consequences of their actions. The whole, oh shit, vigilantism is actually still a crime, I think is really funny for some reason. Actually, with how many vigilantes there are in the DCAU, would it be illegal? I know the Green Lanterns are space cops, so they aren't really vigilantes. If you need to file something to be, do you need to file
Jamie,
something
that's
to
a
be a crime
spoiler,
fighter?
I think.
Green Lanterns exist. Is there bureaucracy gumming up the works?
What? Oh, no. There are... in the Max Landis video, Death and Return of Superman, are there multiple of Green Lantern?
Are you aware of the Green Lantern Corps?
No.
Okay. That's there's like thousands of Green Lanterns across the cosmos.
Oh.
They're a police force, essentially. Yeah.
Okay, I remember somebody saying, like, on that Max Landis video, like, there's someone dressed in green saying, like, you can't use your ring for personal gain. That's a violation of your bullshit or something like that.
That would work. Yeah.
So I guess that was another. Okay, so maybe not something I didn't know.
Anything that was in the Max Landis video does not count as a spoiler for Brian.
Well, I guess that's also cartoon related or comic cartoon, comic related.
Cartoon. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there you go. I appreciate Barbara's relationship with her dad in a masked family full of orphans. It's nice to see seeing how people would handle the whole secret identity with close relatives. Also, my birthday is on the 7th this month. That was a while ago.
Oh.
It's been a little over a year since I first emailed you guys, and personally, if I had to pick between... Oh, happy birthday. The last episode they aired close to my birthday, The Lion and the Unicorn, The Witch and the I Don't Know Bird of some kind, and Over the Edge, it's a pretty easy choice.
Mm-hmm.
And the punctuation mark with the question mark and a comma is literally called a question comma. It's also from 92, so only like 32 years old, a year younger than me. The name doesn't have the punch of my favorite punctuation mark, the interrobang. Gone the form of Louisiana, rise the normal white-collared worker also named Louisiana. I have to go back to work now. My boss doesn't care what I do. What the hell is an interrobang? Let's find this.
I saw a video on that once. Maybe it was like a Vsauce video
like
or something.
Combo question mark exclamation mark. Interesting. Legacy Allen from Leg of Lamb. Yopton's log number 84. Well, I can't say I was too surprised the magical Batman episode felt out of place to Brian. This would feel more at home in a Superman episode, were words I kind of expected to hear, and I can't really say I disagree, even if I just really fuck with Etrigan. With that in mind, this Batgirl episode hits a weird spot in my mind. On the one hand, Gordon just feels just out of character enough to me that I almost never bought into the idea that Babs might actually be dead. I still like the episode, even if it is kind of a fear toxin, The Sopranos deal. Oh, and no need to worry about me coming up with scripts. I already have the next 13 already written at any given time. And here's one of them now.
Yopton's log, number 84. I looked in front of me as the sea became somewhat incredibly compressed in front of my very eyes. I put one of my favorite Ghoul mixtapes into our ship's stereo so that we could make our shanties more chiptune around us. Unfortunately, while I was kicking it to DJ Razi Ghoul's 6th beat, some fellows in poorly taxidermied animal masks tried to board our vessel. They looked like a proper terrible trio when my crew elected to fire the ship's cannons directly into their sternums to save us the trouble of ever having to see them again. I'd heard of them before, and I tell you, these high seas do not welcome the likes of poorly animated, poorly written, bored rich folks. Coincidentally, DJ Razzy's next track was Shot Through the Heart, and the humor of this track's timing served to put a jolly pep in this sailor's step for the rest of the day.
I like that it was in the form of a Sega CD cutscene.
Yeah.
That's good.
That one, I'm at like 10%.
Yeah, I got the terrible trio. I think the cannon shooting thing was shooting Clayface on Rupert Thorne's boat in the Sega CD cutscenes. But I don't know. Well, let's hear from Dylan Pollock, why don't we? Over the Edge, or oh my god, I just realized Scarecrow set up a scarecrow to trick Batgirl. I'm an idiot. Yeah, he sure did.
It's time for the thoughts of the week from Dylan Pollock on Over the Edge, or But It Was All a Dream.
Yeah,
is there a world's better surrogate dad / butler than Alfred, who throws himself at cops and guns for Batman?
Yeah.
Also, I know I was unkind to the redesigns, but we all agree Scarecrow is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But I do wish we could have seen Scarecrow just take a second to be far enough away from Batgirl that he's like, yeah, I'll put the coat and my hat, they'll go on the antenna, and that'll set her up real good. Also, who knew Batman's toughest villain would just be pissed off Commissioner Gordon? Like, Commissioner Gordon is the one who takes down the Batman. Joker couldn't do that. I guess you could say Commissioner Gordon had one really bad day. I get that. That's a comic book reference.
Yes.
I don't get it.
Killing Joke. Anyway, is this the first time we're seeing the new redesigned Bane? Because I'm not sure if it is for Brian, but I never get used to S&M Daddy Bane. But I will say I do love the ending where Gordon basically just admits he knows. Does he know Bruce Wayne is Batman too? Like, is he just like, I'm just going to play this all cool? And you know what's cool? The question of the week.
No,
James
you're
Fairclough.
over a minute.
Which villain?
Sorry. It was past a minute.
Oh, come on. Come on, Jamie.
The question of the week. James' favorite part. Which villain most deserves a payout from Bruce Wayne for being created by him? Or should it just be Tim getting the inheritance, I guess? Or screw that. Should be Alfred.
I mean, Joker got thrown into a vat off screen. We've yet to see that happen.
I think that was actually, and I don't think we talked about this, but that line was one that really didn't sit well with me in the episode of, Batman going to jail with all the villains he created.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I mean, he was there to fight back against these guys. Certainly whoever killed his parents weren't as a result of Bruce Wayne being Batman as an adult, right?
Right.
It's kind of that's pretty fucking loose, I think.
There's been, I think, trial and maybe one or two other episodes where there's been sort of underlying conversation of, did Batman make these villains or did they make him or whatever? And I feel like there's I don't know, arguments to be made on both sides, but I definitely agree with the if he wasn't there, some of them literally wouldn't exist, but they would also probably find their way to be Killer Croc and whatever the fuck without Batman existing. Batman's usefulness in villains existing. I don't know. This is from Lanola Cola. Tug on the Super Cape. Ow, the wedge. Ow, the edge. I can't read. Don't worry about it. I think it's safe to say Over the Edge, a.k.a. why does the GCPD always do better against Batman compared to his rogues gallery / suddenly there came another Johnny Cochran cameo, is among the beloved episodes of New Batman Adventures. I'd bet credits to Navy Beans that Brother Broderick clocked the "it was all a dream" twist when Scarecrow was brought up, or perhaps earlier when Jim calls Batman Wayne. It took him longer than that, but he did do it. No ejected shells from any of the GCPD's weapons, and I'll get back to y'all faster than Gordon mobilizing a task force to bust in Wayne Manor till we up again. that was what I was gonna say with Dylan's is Gordon was the only one to kill him essentially, but he also had an army of cops and tanks and shit like that. So
that's true.
I don't know. Michelle Salerno. Hello, Java Edition Minecraft and bra straps. I absolutely had to send in mail for this. I've been waiting for this podcast episode since I began listening. I remember watching for the first time in the midst of a binge, and I had to turn the TV off after this one because of how heavy it was. If I had a Yop 10, this would be my number one. And there's a voice message.
This episode was brutal and disturbing, but like absolutely the best. Just watching Batman sporadically running from the police creates this horrific atmosphere, like how everything he built to that point just came crashing down. I don't want to make jokes because this is a really good episode, but I have to because this would have been the crazy celebrity gossip if it was real. Like, plus it's really incriminating for Bruce realizing he recruits underage kids into vigilantes. I'm like, it's so illegal, but I love Batman, so I'm gonna pretend I never said that. When Barbara fell off the roof, I was like, what? There's no water for her to fall in. Where was she gonna fall? And we see her body slam into a car before she proceeds to die. What? Also, crazy how trusting Gordon was with Barbara about to confess. With the way she opened up with that, he probably just didn't want to hear that his daughter was a stripper. Like, he was ready for it. I rate this episode 100 out of 10 dick mullets flying in the wind from chopper blades. I don't care what y'all say. I love this guy's mullet. Yop till you drop.
You're allowed to. It's fine.
Okay, but what about the dream part? Is it okay still?
A lot of people aren't mentioning that. They're just like, oh, it was so good. Well, good thing that was the whole episode. Goodbye. I did like that line from Bane. It was very, I don't know, dark or whatever, where he's got Batman in a chokehold or something, and he's like, but what would I expect from a killer of children or something like that?
Oh,
I was really like, oh, God, you're right. Yeah. True score. Over the Edge, or I swear to all that is good if Brian didn't like this one. Hey, bat bitch and Joker ass. Hope why? My goodness, I'm not reading this. Hope y'all enjoyed your week. I get to choose it. And got to spend time with friends and family and relax. We did do that, kind of. The first part. We have finally arrived at my favorite episode of btas. Everything here works for me. The animation is fluid. The storytelling's superb. And the villains work perfectly.
Brody, what about the dream?
The characters felt kind, I think, of all over the place because it was Barbara's mind overreacting, and I just think it's put across brilliantly. Can people proofread their emails, for God's sake? I don't know if I'll what I'll do if Brian says this is mid. How dare we have differing opinions? Communism for life. Anyway, this is what was said. Ooh, Popo found Brucey's sex dungeon. Big ass coin returns, my beloved. Barbara, how did you fall for that truck trick? Are you a fucking idiot? This is actually wild. I swear, if this is it was a dream the whole time shit. The difference between them having coffee every New Year's and now at each other's throats. Crazy what death does to people. How did 12 cops miss Nightwing? Acrobatics are cool, but come on. I especially liked his very slow backflip he was doing over that one cop.
Yeah.
He was like a foot away, firing like 7 bullets at him, and he doesn't hit once. Or maybe he does. Nightwing's just that good.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Gimp Bane suit. I feel like Bane is kind of a one-trick pony villain. Just cut his cord and outsmart him. Bruh, it was all a dream. What the fuck is that pillow Barbara had her head on? Yeah, it's like a weird like H-shaped pillow. I think it's one of those like medical keep your head in one spot pillows. I'm kind of fine with this dream thing because it worked for the story and all the fear stuff with Scarecrow. I'm really happy with this ending. That was awesome. So there's an opinion for it.
Okay.
Till next week, your friendly neighborhood Lego artist, Brody, sent on my antenna with sketchy-looking cloak meant for camouflage and practicality that fools even the smartest of people. Good. Jordan Newman, GCN Musical Moments.
You're listening to GCN Gotham City News with Jack Ryder. Tonight's top story, Scarecrow took over City Hall and our lovable Bat family stopped him. That's it. Wow, short one tonight. Can you imagine if one of these vigilante superhero types ever died? That would get pretty messy. Now over to the music. There's obviously a lot of really brutally emotional, mournful pieces of music in this. I also really like the Nightwing theme showing up when Nightwing comes to save them from the police boats. But I really want to talk about the complete absence of music right after Barbara's death.
Thank you, Jordan.
And also when Gordon's talking to Bruce on the phone, and when Gordon's talking to the mayor and the other cops, the complete absence of music during those scenes lets you really absorb the pain of those moments. It's really well done. Never apologize for loving your fandom and try to stay optimistic.
Thank you for listening to our suggestion earlier in this podcast to say that thing. Yeah, it's good.
That mail segment, or the Jack Ryder segment, I should say.
What are you trying to say?
The Jack Ryder bit was like just so extra good because I didn't think about. I mean, we like mentioned the fact that it was only this long, but that is so fucking funny.
The unknown is back. Keep calm and yop on. Here we go.
Welcome back, Yoppers. Last week there seemed to have been some confusion. I'll just chalk that up to the annoyance Clarion put on your minds. Maybe it made you a little foggy. Let me help clear some things up. You're attempting to figure out what DCAU character has gone missing, what location I have hidden the character at, and why they went missing.
Okay.
Not why they are. That doesn't make sense. Honestly, that one's on me. Sometimes I'm not great with English, so, yeah.
Last week you asked if the character wore a cape. No, they do not. You also asked if they were a woman, and the answer to that is yes, she is. The answer, if you each are to be asking a question, sure. You each get one question a week. First person to figure out everything wins. Think of this as one big game of DCAU Clue. And what will the prize for winning be? Well, you'll just have to wait and see. Till next time, Yoppers.
Candlestick. What was the first thing we asked?
That was.
I already forgot.
I mean, weeks.
That was like a month ago.
Weeks ago.
It's a woman that doesn't
chick,
have a cape.
No cape. Mm-hmm. Some lady.
Yeah, it's Summer Gleason.
And she's hiding somewhere. He hid
Summer
her.
Gleason if we're doing clue rules,
in the study.
I'm going to go Summer Gleason in the questionable ninja weight room with a Hermes statue or whatever. With a microphone. And why? Because why wouldn't you do that? I guess. Duh.
I said the Summer Gleason part. That's all I.
Oh yeah. Does the location have anything to do with the ninja?
Wow. Can't you ask a better? Is the location east of Gotham?
Did she go east? Good luck trying to figure out what we just asked you.
That's the real game. You try to translate
a game with you, actually. Okay, Keen Machine over the edge. Greetings, Brian and James. Calm down. Hello. I say it the other way in the voice message. So here we are. I have a suspicion that Brian isn't going to like this episode. Or maybe that's just a fear of mine. I guess if he likes it, this is the real world. And if he doesn't like it, this is just a nightmare caused by the speechless scarecrow.
You're
Makes
welcome.
sense to me. Keep it keen.
Greetings, James and Brian. It's time for everyone's favorite Scarecrow episode, even though he doesn't have a single line of dialogue throughout the entire thing, Over the Edge, otherwise known as the It Was All a Dream episode, which isn't about the Mad Hatter, surprisingly. Don't call me a hater. Don't come after me for this. Listen, this is a good episode. That's not a hot take. I have my hot takes. That is not one of them. By the way, did you know that the redesigns are amazing? Yeah, they are. Bringing back the amazing joke and also reiterating that the redesigns are amazing. Anyway, I love the family dynamic of the Gordons here. I love that we see that Jim knows his daughter is Batgirl at the end of the episode and that her fears are unfounded. He's not going to come after the Bat family or, whatever. But also, like, hey, even in the dream, it's like, are we going to go after the Scarecrow? The guy that was maniacally laughing and knocked her off the building and caused her to die because, again, he doesn't have a single line of dialogue, but he's able to do that, I guess. Does that make him Batman's greatest enemy? Also, does Jim know that Batman is Bruce Wayne? Because in her dream he does, but that's just the dream. But then we see in real life he does know that Barbara is Batgirl. So has he figured it out? Is he a better detective than we think? I'm out of time. Keep it keen. This isn't a Scarecrow episode.
Didn't they knock it? I think he knocked out Scarecrow. Scarecrow was like, ha ha ha, I knocked her off the building, and then he like punches him into the wall or something. So at least he's up there unconscious.
I think that didn't happen. Like they just got him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess so. In like the real thing that happened.
Like Scarecrow almost got him.
Scarecrow reeled back to hit Batgirl off the... I understood what you were doing there.
Good.
I just didn't acknowledge it, okay?
No.
Scarecrow almost hit Batgirl off the building, and then Batman punched him before he did that or something. I don't know.
Kissed him. Superman came in.
Yes, Superman
kissing all wildly like he usually does.
Grabbed Batgirl as she was falling through the air, and it was all fine.
Oh, there you go.
Ryan Hipp living on the Over the Edge.
Here's a truth for you to choke on. When they shoot up Dick's old costume, it's a metaphor for how the old series treated his version of Robin. Shoop-a, shoop-a, pow-pow. Hello, James, and all that implies. It's truly everybody's favorite. Batman's little anticipatory footwork is just amazing. And while nothing will ever top Growing Pains, and I personally prefer Holiday Nights and a couple we haven't gotten to, I can totally understand this being someone's favorite New Batman Adventures episode. Recover. Oh, fuck. With the CGI, I like how they peppered it in the first couple minutes, so you might not have noticed it, but your brain did. And then when they get to the Bat boat, if you're a clown who's never seen it before, you'll be like, "Ooh, what's going on with the shit?" What I would have enjoyed if instead of the Bat boat, a white Bronco was driving across the water. Fuck. Get Johnny Cochran's back. God damn it. That's my time, everybody. Don't forget to flip your mattresses.
Oh, I'm about to miss countdown! Finally tonight, as promised, a special comment on Lyle Bolton's latest smears on the campaign trail.
Preach it, Jack. Preach it.
I was just having a nightmare just now. It felt like.
Ryan, just don't you dare ever change, okay?
Yeah. Tip Tappercut, contemplations on this one or something is totally normal. I sent from my bed because I was too lazy to get up like an asshole.
All right, it's me, Ryan Tip. Walking outside where my usual street is, where all the cars are, here to comment on this episode. Classic from DreamWorks from 2006, but a lot of animals wanted to go over a big bushery to get some food. I want candy, featuring a whole bunch of celebrity voice casts, oh god, a naked turtle. Oh, it's not Over the Hedge 2006. Oh, okay. Is Batman? Okay. Well, I hope Brian liked this one. This one was good too. I think it had really good voice acting and animation and, random sound effect. And I think that's one of the rare times that, it was all actually a dream works out because it had touching moments afterwards. And Gordon's a good dad, even if he maybe thinks his daughter's doing sex work, he's still really supportive and that's cool. Or maybe he knows it's Batgirl. I don't know. Bye.
I really like the back-to-back of Ryan and Ryan did one of those. Floopity shoo.
That was art, and I hope that Ryan is in nothing but appreciation of it.
Flattery,
Also, when are we getting Tip Apricot on? Like, seriously? Is that
We've been talking to him for a long time about doing it, and it always ends up being when I'm there to record with you would be like the best time to do it, like we did with Rob.
Yeah.
And then none of the episodes work out, or we have too much else to do that weekend or something like that. But we got to do it next time I'm there.
When are you coming to town?
Because, I don't know. I actually should probably figure that out soon. I'm going to Hawaii for a whole week.
What?
In September.
Oh, September what?
My 10-year anniversary with my wife, the first week of it.
So when I'm going to be at Kindle.
Sure, yeah.
Nice.
That worked out very well on purpose. I did it. First we have Mark Aquino, Over the Edge. Or would you? Oh, first of all, sorry, Mark, interrupting. I've never somehow, do you know that Over the Hedge movie that Tip Tappercut was referencing? I
watched it on a plane.
I have, of course. I've not thought about that movie in so long, but I used to use it as an example of the CGI like model building program. It was Cinema 4D is what I used to do all my like 3D effects in, and Over the Hedge was made in Cinema 4D, and I used to like brag about like I'm using the same software they used to make Over the Hedge. But like that is like so irrelevant and old and bad.
Are you still using it?
Sometimes, yeah. So I could still brag about that.
Please continue to brag about it
for as forever.
As like the actor who's like, come and gone 20 years ago, and they're still like really leaning into that one thing that they did.
Yeah. Over the Hedge. Everyone remember?
One moment, please.
When did that come out? I know Tip Tappercut already said 2006. Jesus. Okay. Anyway.
So you mean 18 years ago?
Mark Aquino said, Over the Edge. Would you look at the time? It's shit hitting the fan o'clock. Oh boy, we've arrived at this episode. This one is cray-cray, folks. Regardless of the twist ending, the stuff Kids WB let them get away with here is wild. We've also arrived at another episode with an often discussed ending. It's interesting. I've heard detractors of Apocalypse Now, part 2, question whether its ending elevates it in their eyes. I've had the same argument, but instead with mean seasons. However, this one has the opposite. Did you mean Over the Edge? I don't know. However, this one has the opposite argument of whether or not the twist is a cop-out and ruins all the emotional heft. I'm personally of the mind that it does not, but I'm definitely curious to hear Brian's thoughts about it. You already have at this point. I still think it's a terrific episode, easily one of the best of TMBA. Bob Hastings gives the best performance as Commissioner Gordon here. Bane's redesign is suitably intimidating and awesome. We get some great Bullock moments, and the action sequences are some of the best in the DCAU. Paul Dini's writing is superb here too. It hits the ground running and never lets you go. Easily one of his best DCAU scripts, in my opinion. Add to that the always great music from Shirley Walker and our bays at TMS with their sweet, sweet animation. This is a banger, folks. It bangs, it cooks, it slaps, and it fucks, all in that order. Boss Biggest Bear Hugs to the #1 podcast host in this here multiverse of ours, Joy Division and Ba Black Sheep, have you any wool? Praise to our Lord and Savior Dylan Pollock. Keep up the great work. Look, I've noticed that you changed great work to good work.
Oh,
what does this say?
Dylan, you got to step
I'm
up.
so automatically saying keep up the great work, but you've written it as good work the last 2 or 3 now. And
Dylan,
I don't know what it means.
Grow that mullet. Do the podcast better.
Yeah, if it would be great if you had the mullet. So get on it. And all the Awesome Sauce listeners of this Yoppie community of ours, you're all the absolute best. Don't you ever forget that. I wanted to write a whole bit about how August heat is the worst, but it's just been nothing but storms and rain here on the East Coast. Ugh, I'm so sick of getting crash clang. Huh? Tom Hardy's Bane shows up carrying a damaged bat signal. Bitch, you need to shut your mouth now. Bizarro Mark and Scarface leap in front to protect me. Bizarro Mark is carrying baby Danny in one of those baby carrier slings. You first, you ugly punk. Let's get him, honey. You got it, hubby. Big old poop. Bane throws the damaged bat signal at us and the 4 of us fall off the roof. No. Oh, there's no wake up. That's the end of it. Oh, God.
Mark.
Oh,
he
no.
was so
Well,
young.
that's the mail. I guess Mark's dead now.
And he was such a big part of emo nights. That's one of the sincerely, there's a couple of things that I miss from like being on Instagram. And one of them was like
the Mark emo party.
Mark's just like
updates,
out there having the greatest life. It's like either like
it is envious,
a picture from his work of him being like, well, I'm here, or he's just like screaming at the top of his lungs in some club. And I'm just so thrilled for him.
He's always taking some fun group shots with friends, with emo friends.
Why don't I have friends?
It's too bad.
Yeah. You know what I realized? Was yesterday we didn't have any like, and we're going to go to the future for the mail.
We didn't know.
Yeah,
That's
so we could say that.
Wow, John, what a really cool thing you just said, John Trumbull. Here we are going to the mail now. A whoopity flu. And then I'll put that there, but I'll keep it right here also. So it all makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now?
Because that's how I roll. And now we go back to the past days of Brian's ass.
Ooh, I love that movie.
We'll wrap up the podcast by telling Brian the name of the next episode, and he tries to guess what it's about. Okay?
And what
Are
show
you ready?
it is.
Yeah, and what show it is, because we're swapping back and forth a lot lately. Yeah. So the episode is called Torch Song. Do you think it is Batman or Superman, for starters?
I think it's a James Bond film. Torch Song?
Torch Song.
Superman?
No.
Am I always wrong? 100% of the time, am I wrong?
Well, there was a good while there where it was like consistently back and forth between the two. And now we've had sometimes it'll be a chunk of a lot of Superman with no Batman. Now we're in a chunk of a lot of Batman with no Superman.
Torch Song.
Yeah, new Torch Song.
Let's see. We had Fire from Olympus with Maxie Zeus, right?
It's a new villain.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. That's gotta be from some other work of art, some poem, something.
I don't know actually, but it'll either be in Trivs next time or it won't.
Torch Song.
I don't give him any other clues unless he asks for them, I guess.
It's gonna be. Is it gonna be something like associated with like, and maybe this is just because like the Olympics are going on, but I'm assuming like some kind of like carry the torch sort of like torch lighting ceremony, some kind of like grandiose game of sorts.
I mean, no.
That's a neat supposition, though.
It is a cool idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
Should tell Paul Dini to do that
I
instead.
try and fail almost every episode. But sometimes I'm close. Yeah. Not usually.
Okay. Batman is doing in the Olympics.
Batman, right? Batman's entered himself into the shot put.
The breakdancing
shot put.
Yeah, there we go. Well, we have 13 episodes of Superman left and 13 episodes of Batman left.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're right there in the dead center of both of new Batman adventures and toward the tail end here. So, we're sneaking up on another new show, and we're really getting into the thick of things. So
another show,
pretty fun. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. Wait, no.
Yeah. There will be a brief period where you'll have to guess, is it Batman, Superman, or blank?
Or does he not even know what the next show
He's
coming up
heard
is?
all the names of the shows in his life before, but I don't I try not to reveal anything specific to him until it's about to happen.
Fine. So I was like, just as like a good friend, like I'd watch James's videos. So like I've seen like Yellow Bat Suit and all these, I've seen a fair few videos. My memory isn't great for this sort of thing. So I've probably been shown so many spoilers and I don't know what they are. I know that Justice League exists. I know that we
just talked about another one.
I think Green Lantern. Oh, well, I know Static Shock exists. I think Green Lantern might have his own show, but I don't know.
He does, but it's questionable whether we'll include it in this
or
not. So.
Okay. And I know that Batman Beyond exists and that it's not Bruce's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge.
Good. Okay. We've been over this a few times, but it's always interesting to see like what you're still holding on to as like things you think you know or that you don't know.
Well, my memory's crap.
There it is. John, do you have anything you want to plug or any upcoming projects or things you want to say before we head out?
Oh boy. I guess I'll just plug my regular podcast, the SNL Nerds, where I get together with a friend of mine, Darren Patterson. We're both stand-up comics from New Jersey. We watch episodes of Saturday Night Live. We talk about what we think about them during the off season or the skip weeks. We usually watch movies that star an SNL alum, and we talk about that. And we're coming up on our 300th episode in just a couple weeks as we're recording this.
Where's the button? Oh my God. There it is.
Congrats.
Yep. We're going nearly 6 years, going strong still.
Wow.
So
Brian and I are halfway there.
Yeah. And we've interviewed a number of people connected with the show as well. We've interviewed a few cast members, a few crew members. So yeah, we're still having fun with that. That's on the non-productive podcast network, but if you just search for SNL Nerds podcast, you can find us. We've got a bunch of the old episodes up on YouTube. There it is. You hold it up right there. That's us.
Right here, this Batman coloring book.
Batman coloring book that you could maybe find on eBay. If you're, and for folks who are fans of the DC animated universe, if you're familiar with the magazine Back Issue number 99, I wrote an oral history of Batman the Animated Series for the 25th anniversary. Got to talk to a lot of people connected with the show.
It's the one with a big Bruce Timm Harley Quinn drawing on the front that you've probably seen, listener.
Yeah. And I'm still working on expanding that out into a full-fledged oral history of the DC animated universe and covering all the shows. But that is a massive project.
It is. I'm doing that in video form, and it's already hard. Yeah.
So I'm hoarding all my DCAU interviews, and we'll unleash them all onto the world at some point. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here and watching Over the Edge with us. It was a lot of fun. We always have very good conversation when we have a guest here to kind of pull out of us more stuff that we might have talked about. Sometimes we'll watch even like the best episode and we'll sit here just going like, what the fuck do we talk about? We have nothing to say, but when there's a third person to say stuff, it's helpful. Yeah.
I had a great time. I live for this stuff. So thank you very much for having me. It was,
thanks for being here,
lots
John.
of fun. Hope we get to do it again sometime.
Yeah,
yes,
of course.
Let's.
Now you have to say something funny to end this video.
Oh,
video?
Podcast, whatever. Whatever we're doing.
The DCAU runs on comic book time.
That is funny. That's very good. Great joke that you made.
I can only assume this is an inside joke or something I'm going to learn in years.
This is like our little ongoing mock feud.
This is when we were about to bring you in, Brian was like, so like, tell me about John. Like, what's your history with him? And I'm like, oh, how do I start off not making him sound like an asshole when I'm like, well, we met each other by like arguing about the timeline.
I mean, should I be calling you James or Jamie? Because I've never heard you called Jamie before I was listening to this
guy
podcast.
is the only one that calls me Jamie.
Oh, okay.
He has the right.
How long have you two known each other?
Since 2016.
Okay.
Jamie, we're like quickly coming up on a decade.
Oh my God. Hell yeah. And we've spent a third of it doing this.
And we spent 2/3 of it working on his movie and putting me in a very uncomfortable costume and for dozens of hours at a time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or so it would feel.
All right. So you met him like as an actor or?
No, in a job in a marketing department at a bus company.
Well,
that is the most diplomatic way to put that.
Well, that's what it's worth describing as, I think. So.
Yeah. But let's not talk about that. Those were the dark days. Now we have fun on a podcast together.
Yeah, we talk about Batman with John Trumbull.
Yay.
Things get better. Proof right here.
Hashtag it gets better.
Wow. Like, honestly, though, like if we could go back in time and tell ourselves that in 2016, that would be...
Don't worry. We really went over the edge back at that time.
Hey!
All right, goodbye.
Thanks for listening, listener.
Mm-hmm. Keep cooking like that, you'll have me looking like Harvey Bullock.
Dinner wasn't the only reason I wanted to see you tonight.
Oh?
Dad, have a seat.
Uh-oh.
This is important. It won't be easy for you to hear, but it's about a job I took on recently.
Barbara, please. Sweetheart, you're capable of making your own decisions. You don't need me to approve or even acknowledge them. And in this case, I can't. All you need to know is I love you. All of you. And that is all I have to say on the subject.
Daddy.
Jump on the Bat-Wagon is hosted by the Watchtower database. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for DC Animated Universe videos on a regular basis. This podcast is edited and produced by yours truly, James Strecker. Musical themes by Kimmy, Cooney Phoenix, Viltsu, Eric LeBeau, Jordan Blumen, my mother, and of course, my smooth co-host, Brian, Brother Broderick Meneely. To buy us a Yoppie beverage and hear your name read in a future episode, or to nab yourself a Yoppie Dude t-shirt, please visit the links in today's show notes. Thank you for supporting the show. You can hear more on today's DCAU episode by checking out our friends over on the DCAU Review and Timm Talk podcasts. Please leave us a 5-star review on your app of choice. You'll damn well hear it read on the show. If you'd like to reach out to us like the fire hand at the end of World's Finest Part 3, you can email batwagonpod@gmail.com or leave a comment on the Podtower. New episodes of Jump on the Bat-Wagon are released Fridays on all your favorite podcast feeds and watchtowerdatabase.com. And we'll see you next episode, same PP time, same poo-poo channel.
Okay, now we stop recording. Oh, God.
What?
Oh no, I just realized that my card stopped recording at some point, so it's a very good thing I was recording the Zoom call.
Oh, okay. That's the same thing that happened with my videotape on the episode back in the day.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I jinxed you.
You know, I never found out what happened at the end of that podcast episode, and I never will.